Yes, people. How you doing? Welcome back to the Spurs Talk Show. I hope you're all happy and healthy, doing the things you love and those you love to do them with. Quickly, if you don't mind, can everyone hear me okay? I'm just trying out this microphone, this Rode mic that I've never used before. And it is an experiment because I'm on the iPad and it's difficult to be able to get sort of audio vibes going the way you want. So I hope you're all happy and healthy doing the things you love, those you love to do them with. Guys, like I say, do me a favor, smash the like button for me if you are interested. If you don't mind, it really helps the channel out. Hit the subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell and drop a comment. Let me know your thoughts in the show. I used to say in the topics as we discuss it, but in the show, let me know your thoughts, guys. Give me 2 seconds. 1 second. Sorry about that. How's everyone doing? How's everyone doing? Did you watch the live stream? Not the live stream. Did you watch the Legends game today? I didn't, but I saw a little absolute weldy from Perlo. Did you see that free kick? That geezer has still got it, isn't he? Grey hair, still a good-looking guy, and he absolutely smashed it top bins. And you'd absolutely love to see James Maddison doing that, or somebody like him doing that on the regular in a Tottenham shirt. Where's my bottle opener gone? We can't get going until I have my drink in front of me. I'm going to have to use a makeshift device. Let's choose a USB. Oh, the lights have gone out. Wonderful. Wonderful. Everything's going well. Give me 2 seconds. Do the old Ramadan. Loving that jacket, man. Listen, I might be able to get you guys some of these jackets. I've got a geezer who's reached out to me and said, can you promote them? And I said, sure, because I bought this one before. It's basically exactly the same. It's not identical. This one doesn't have the Umbro thing on the back, but the one that I've got, I think they are the legitimate. That jacket, man. That's why I wasn't just bringing up the jacket for no reason. Good to see you, Mahat artist. I hope you're doing well, my man. I hope you're doing well. How's everyone doing? But yeah, listen, let me know if you guys are interested in jackets like this, because I do have an access point. Sizes up to 2XL. If you're as big as me, 2XL is the largest it goes, and it just about fits. But God, it's hot in here. You know what? As nice as it is, let's get physical. I want to get physical. Let's get physical. Guys, we've got 120 people in the house. Smash the like, smash the subscribe, do the notification bell thing. I'm going to put the link out in a little while if you want to come on and chat, because I've got a few things to talk about. We've got some updates from the aggregators today. We got an Angel Gomez. I don't know, is it Angel? I don't know. We've got Hayden Hackney from Middlesbrough. We like Hayden Hackney here at the Spurs Talk Show, and his stats are ridiculous, but they are championship stats. So you have to bear that in mind. But he's been linked heavily. Tottenham ahead of the queue. Yeah, you know, like you get like the exclusives from only Bugsy Malone's OnlyFans account. Well, I'm getting a little bit sick of seeing this like mid-season or sort of sunset of the season tagline in every single article that I read. Tottenham are front and centre, or Tottenham are ahead of the queue, and then none of it ever actually materializes. But we've got Hayden Hackney to talk about. We have some actual substantiation of the João Gomez and Mateus Cunha deals that I broke with you lot a few days ago. That's actually the story initially started out in Give Me Sport, which is the more exclusive than OnlyFans, than Bugsy Malone's OnlyFans account. However, it's also now been spread around into the Sunday Mirror, and it's getting around the tabloids. And you know, if it gets to the tabloids, it doesn't substantiate anything. But usually, the tabloids are a precursor to a broadsheet. When it gets to a broadsheet, then you know that there's something to it. And wouldn't it be awesome? And why am I looking over here? Wouldn't it be awesome, guys, to get hold of a little bit of a João Gomez, Mateus Cunha? I do want to get your takes. I asked you guys in the comment section on that video to let me know whether or not you thought that the 4 players that I brought up were a decent shortlist. And some of the answers that you put in the comments was wild. I was seeing people were taking the mickey a little bit, but like, no, I don't want Jonathan David. I want Gyökeres. You're not getting Gyökeres, people, and neither is Nottingham Forest. You can believe that, even though that's been banded around. How about this one? Enzo Milot, or Enzo Milo, rather, 22-year-old Stuttgart player, Arsenal and Tottenham are after him. He's got a £16.8 million release clause. Now, weirdly, guys, I see this story this morning, last night, and look, I do this. This is all chronological, right? Chronological daily notes on what's going on. So this is my today's notes. You can see it even there. I think I've got it. Where is it? Yeah. This is my Sunday notes, but this is what I wrote Saturday night. I was making a list, right? Saturday night for Sunday topics. Sunday topics is all bad, but it was on Saturday night. This is my list of strikers, DMs, wingers, and centre backs, the majority of whom are under 23 years old, that Tottenham could be looking at. And funnily enough, and then I actually, because a couple of the players that were too nice to leave off were between 23 and 30. But I think I've called it like 25 and under, basically. And Milo is one of those players. And then I wake up this morning and see that we're linked with him, as are Arsenal. And it's a juicy little price at 16.8 million. And whatever you think about Daniel Levy, like him, loathe him. Most of you loathe him. I'm not a fan of his, but I just don't subscribe to the same level of hate that most of you want to push in his direction. I don't think he's as accountable as a lot of you do, but that's okay. It's just opinions, isn't it? It's just opinions. But apparently in some parts of YouTube, we're not allowed to have opinions anymore. I mean, I'm going to talk about that as well. I don't really want to get involved in all that stuff. I rise above it most of the time. And over the last few years, I've had my fair amount of content made about me without retorts. And for what it's worth, Paul is not going after me anywhere near as much as he has gone after other people and stuff. And it is what it is. Do what you got to do, mate. But I worry about the guy a little bit, if I'm entirely honest, because I'm going through a horrible amount of stress. As you know, if you watch this channel regularly, I'm going through a horrible amount of stress in my life, and it affects you, right? When you have things that are happening to you that are ongoing, that are persistent, and that are negative, and you don't really necessarily feel yourself, you're worried about things, and maybe you take I don't know, in his case, maybe he's on medication because of his illnesses and so I don't know, but sometimes it can just change you, and you don't think it's changing you. You think you're just normal, but other people kind of go oh, you seem a little bit on edge, man. You seem a little bit stressed. I get it. I get it. If he's had a life-altering illness and he almost died, is what I heard, then I get it, right? I totally get it. But most people come out of those experiences and go you know what? I'm just gonna appreciate the extra time and go a little bit easier. But he seems to have come out with a bee in his bonnet, and I just feel like it's wildly unnecessary behaviour. Wildly unnecessary behaviour. And a lot of the stuff that he's saying, man, he used to go after people like Stelios and Sava because he didn't like the fact that those people would go it's fans like you that are the problem, or you're part of the problem if you don't feel this way. Telling other people how to support their team was one of the reasons why he had problems with those guys. And if he can't see the irony in what he's doing now is exactly the same, it might be with the right intentions, because he thinks that support is the only way that you can cover it. But I don't know, man. I hope he's all right. I really do. And I'm not sure if he is, because he seems wildly different to the guy that I remember seeing before his absence. Anyway, Spurs diehards. Adrian, good to see you, man. Good to see you. Hope you're okay, buddy. Good evening, Sean. Good evening, man. Effing hell, 6-2. What a win. Yeah, if someone could stick up, because I'm on the iPad and I don't look. I'll show you right now. If I was to pivot to this Igor Paschal tab on FB Refs, because I wanted to show you this stuff, then my camera just disappears, and there's no ability to share your screen. I don't think. No, there's no ability to share your screen on an iPad, and I don't know if that's my iPad, because it's not really an iPad. It's I don't know. And I don't know, whatever. iHack. That's terrible, Sean. Leave it alone. But yeah, I wanted to show you the stuff, and I can't do it. But if someone can put up the teams, because I heard it was an absolute cracker of a game. Big up, Sean, on the chat. Says Finn, big up to you, man. Mahat Artist, good to see you, man. Yadami, Aussie, Ange, Hater, more quality in the Legends game than the current squad. Wowzers. Good evening, Sean. Good evening, Spursy. GCTV. Evening, Sean. Evening, Finn. Evening, Brian. Evening, Jeremy. Greg, Health. Good to have you back. Appreciate that. Sheriff the 2 Mark Show. Nice name. Sean, big up. Big up to you. Big up to you. Big up to you. Brian O'Sullivan. Berber hasn't lost his touch. Was he in the team? Was he? Wowzers. Yeah, but that the pace of those games just affords like. Imagine how cool it would be to be like, you know, such a creative, technical master of your art, and then you retire, you keep yourself physically fit, and then just for shits and giggles, you go down and play five-a-side or whatever with your mates. And because the pace isn't ferocious, and you're just having a bit of fun, the quality that will be on show in those techers. You'd love to be a little like a fly on the wall in some of those private games. Spurs fan John, that's the 99-1 Cup final jacket. It is. I think it is. But it doesn't have the Umbro on the back, right? Whereas the one that I've been reached out to is basically identical. It's ever so slightly different. And it has a big giant Umbro thing on the back. So it's arguably better. It's arguably cooler. But either way, let me know if you fancy getting on board those things. I think they're like 45 quid. Good value. Hey, mate, hope you're having a good evening and get that drink open. Yeah, I've got it open. I have got it open. I wish Katie's would sponsor me. Let's have a look. See, we got Sean's Wheeler Dealer Dodgy Deals. You know me, mate. You know me. Mr. Buy Right Special. What's that? Is that like a dirty website? Is it? The Legends side we put out today would have given today's current side a hell of a game in their prime. Did you see that video with We Are Tottenham TV? Ben and Sim. Ben interviewed Harry Redknapp, and they did like you know, who would you have? The player from your team or the player from our current team? And Harry Redknapp picked his player in every position apart from Ian Dawson, and then felt guilty. And they went, "No, you know what? I'm not taking Ian Dawson. Sorry, I'm not taking Mickey van der Ven, I think it was." So he picked his entire starting 11 over the current one. And then it was funny because then at the end of the video, like the video was supposed to have stopped recording, but they left it running. And Harry said, "Yeah, I would have taken the." You know, we had top draw players. If only we had a top draw manager, we might have won something. Great banter. Good to see you, Lee. Good to see you, Nita. Lisa, Mexico. Hope you're okay. Hope you're okay. Sheriff only won, Aaron. Was he playing as well, was he? Play Legends in the next game versus Chelsea. They're still better than the current squad. Thiago Motta was sacked today. Was he? Was he? Maybe. We couldn't. Could we? I like Thiago Motta. I do. That is a Gaza jacket. Yes, it was. Yeah, exactly. Don't want Angel Gomez. Too small. I completely agree, Brian. I completely agree. Not that we're sizes on this channel. Everyone always thinks I'm... You know, I'm putting it back on. I'm putting it back on because the T-shirt's baggy and it's sitting weirdly on my neck, making me look like an Oompa Loompa. And, oh, by the way, talking of Oompa Loompas, I had the unfortunate experience of watching like I guess you could call it like extended clips of that Snow White thing. Wow. No, the politics isn't something I want to engage in too much on this channel ever, if I'm honest. But Disney gone real weird, haven't they? Big up, Sean. João Gomez. Yes, please. So João Gomez for you, not Andre Gomez. Sorry, Angel Gomez. Someone else in the comments said they wanted Andre Gomez, which I believe is Andre Gomez from Lille fame. I think that was Martin Walton, actually, who said he wanted Andre Gomez. And I was like, is that... Which one is that? And I looked him up and I was like, oh, that one. Yeah, of course. Yeah, he's a class player as well. Angel is an upgrade on Biss, but I think he would be an upgrade on Biss the way he's been playing. I wouldn't be an upgrade on anyone, mate. I've never played a football in my life. Never kicked the ball. Well, I have, but I was rugby, mate, the whole life. So I'm just a fan with an opinion, which apparently is illegal. Kimmich with a goal and 2 assists tonight. Yeah. When I put that video out about Josh Kimmich, again, I was just reporting on the what's in the news, and I wasn't aware that he'd signed a new 5-year extension. So it looks like he's going to sign his... let me stay up 1 second. I'll open the windows. What's going on? It's too hot. 1 second. All right, I'm back. I'm back, baby. Let me know again, guys, if this microphone thing is better or worse than the standard one, because I've only got 34% on my iPad. I might have to change it back again in a minute. Phil, mate. Phil's in the house, is he? Phil, big up, Sean. João Gomez, yes, please. Good to see you, Phil. The majority of the news is wild speculation, even as an Ange in fan. If we are changing our manager, the majority of signings will need their approval. You know what, though? I see that in a lot of the comments, like, why are you doing transfer news, views, and clues when we don't even know who the manager is going to be? Yeah, like, isn't that the same all the time? Like, you could make the assumption that you never know who the manager is going to be in a month or two. So, like, you've still got to... And also, I don't care who the next manager is. There's certain players on that list, or on the list of targets this week, that I don't care who they are. Like, if you're going to play football, then those players are going to add value to your team. Players like Cunha are one of them. Players like, for me, Jonathan David. And I'll hold my hands up about that guy. I've held my hands up about him forever. I don't think he is. I didn't think he was all that. I thought he was a bit of a, you know, a clumsy opportunist that was in the right place at the right time, and it didn't deserve the numbers. But he's really like fulfilled his game, and fair play. Like, now there's no argument. Like, he's better in every department than what we have. He's fast, he's strong, hit the balls off both feet. You know, he can head the ball. Very accomplished in spatial awareness. His goals and his assists are just undeniable, and he's a player that a lot of teams are going to be after. You know, especially because he's free, and you know that the French league is financially strapped. And Daniel Levy loves a sniff of a deal like that, doesn't he? So you know that he's going to be all over the radar of Tottenham until June, and then I don't know if he'll come to Tottenham. I would imagine that he's going to be a player that would want to play in the Champions League, and I think he's got, you know, but at the same time, his salary demands, because he's such a high caliber, high profile, his numbers command it. You know, how many teams are going to pay or can afford to pay 250 grand a week or more to a player like him, who's definitely going to want his payday? You know, you go to Italy, like, Italian teams don't really pay the same salaries that Premier League clubs do. Some of them do for certain players, but I don't think that he comes with that kind of pedigree where you'll pay the man whatever he wants. I know you're not going to have to pay like a transfer fee for him, and so you can amortize it that way and justify the expense that way. But some of those Italian clubs, a lot of them have like conditions and clauses in their players' contracts where if one person comes in with a higher salary than the other players that are high caliber get their boost, and it can just become complex and complicated. And so, you know, I'm not sure. And I think that Tottenham are at this kind of precipice. I've said it 1,000 times, where there's a lot of opportunity to reshuffle the deck a little bit. And, you know, we don't have that many superstars or any superstars. We don't even have that many kind of like big brand footballers in our squad at the moment. And so it's plausible to bring him in and not have that kind of not have to have that conversation where, you know, other players are going to immediately want to be emulating their contracts to something that looks more similar to what Jonathan David gets. And so, like, if you're filtering out half the teams or 90% of teams that can't afford him anyway, then you look at the teams that can and go, well, who needs him? And there's a few for sure. But I think there's like going to be a bit of a merry-go-round, a juggling effect of like, what happens with Alex Isak? Is he going to stay at Newcastle? Is he going to go to Arsenal? If so, would Newcastle need to replace him with a player? If so, who is that? You know, and Jonathan David might be the answer there. Do Chelsea want to go again? Are they going to need someone else? But Tottenham, clearly, for me, if you can find a new home for Richarlison, then if you can get a Solanke and a Jonathan David that are a little bit different, and then if you want to keep Matisse Tell, and we can have that conversation, but if he does stay, then you've got variety there. Then you've also got like some of the youth players that are coming through, and then you've got just like a bunch of different versatility. And as I say, this argument that like we shouldn't be talking about any of this stuff because we don't know who the manager is going to be. Like, you never know who the manager is going to be. Like, a week is a long time in football, but you still need to think about what you want, and the club are going to do it. So why can't we? You know. So, Tom, respectfully, I agree with you in principle, but also content's content, right? So, you know, you got to put something out, and you can't beat a good pair of DMs. Doc Martens, exactly, mate, 100%. Graham, good to see you. Big up, Danny, good to see you, mate. I'm going to put out the link in a minute, mate, if you fancy coming on. Same with anyone else who wants to come on. Dermatron, hey, Sean, hope you're okay, brother. I keep trying to get hold of you. I told you, man, if you can message me on Twitter, because I don't have WhatsApp. I've got this piece of shit. This is what I'm using at the moment, right? I can't text Ireland, so message me on Twitter, mate. It's probably the best way, buddy. But love you, man. Hope you're okay. Big up, everyone. Says Daniel, gut. See you, mate. Hope you're good, my man. Just go all in buying Eze, Cunha, and Elanga for summer window, and we're moving forward at pace. Certainly a lot of pace. Anthony Elanga, really? I think Elanga is like a horses for courses type of player, mate. To be honest, I don't know if he suits us. I don't think he's good. Don't get me wrong; he's had a really good season, but like, again, you have to obviously depends who the manager is, but I think that whoever the manager is going to be is going to look a little bit like Ange, just a little bit different, but hopefully he's going to have a little bit more dynamic fluidity that considers the nuances of who we're playing, where we're playing, game management, all that stuff that I do think is lacking a little bit in Ange's hammer and nail kind of toolbox scenario. And for me, Anthony Elanga is like a Brennan Johnson type. I think that we screwed up on Johnson. I think maybe you'd think the same about Anthony Elanga in the long run. Good to see Dermo. Yeah, man, I heard that. I had to unsub because of all the hate. It rubs me the wrong way. I just don't get it, man. Like, you're becoming everything that you pretend that you don't like. Other people telling other people how to support the club. You're doing exactly the same thing. But part of the reason why you hated those people in the first place was because of the thing that you're doing now. It's like, I don't know, man. Everyone just chill out, right? Just chill out. But I also get it. Like I say, if you're stressed out, if you're going through something in your personal life, it can manifest itself. I remember going on Sava's channel and I ended up having a blazing row a couple of months ago, I think it was. I never saw it again. But at the time, in my head, I was like, I couldn't care. I was like, fuck you. You're gonna overtalk me. I'll overtalk you. Don't put me on mute, bro. Who do you think you are? All this stuff. And obviously, like, his audience is generally a certain type of audience that doesn't like me because they, feel that, they lean negative a little bit, and so, fair play, whatever. So, like, I'm not going to take any kind of feedback from that audience with regarding who was in the right, who was in the wrong. But people like Johnny said to me, like, you weren't in the wrong, Sean, but you certainly were different. Like, you looked like you were on edge, and it's understandable with what you're going through. But in my mind at the time, I was like, I didn't think that. And I still don't know because I didn't get a chance to see it back. But I can imagine that, you end up, you act out, but in your mind, you don't realize you are because you're just yourself, right? As I said before, it's like it's like that scene in Wolf of Wall Street when Leonardo DiCaprio's taken those like 1980s Quaaludes and he's waiting for them to kick in, and then all of a sudden they all kick in at the same time, and he's smashed off out of his skull, and he gets a phone call from his lawyer that says, "Oh, go to the golf course, go to the golf club and phone me from the payphone." And he's sort of on his way back. He's trying to get back to his house to stop his mate from talking about stuff on a recorded line. And it's an absolute like hilarious scene where he's obviously like lost control of his body. And then at the end of the scene, he's like, "Yeah, I made it home. Not a scratch on the car, not a scratch on anything at all. And I got in to save the day." And then the next scene, he goes outside when the police knock on the door, and the car's a complete mess because in reality, he didn't make it home without a scratch. I mean, I've been there many times, not in that scenario, but in scenarios where you think you're okay, but everyone else looking at you like, no, you're not okay. You're not okay. Tottenham till I die. Member for 19 months. Big up, Sean. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for your support, my man. Appreciate you, buddy. Appreciate you. Are you using web page on iPad or is there a StreamYard app? I'm using a web page, mate. I don't think there is a StreamYard app, is there? I don't think there is. Good evening, Sean, mate. Hope you're all well. Cheers, Eltel. Well, if you want to come on as well, mate, I'll put the link up in a second. Let me get through this chat. Clinical striker bursting with confidence. So disappointed with our creativity and possession, not getting more goals. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? We score a load of goals, but we don't score enough. And we have created so much this year that we could have scored probably 20 more goals than we actually have. And that's what you need to do. Like, if you're going to play this game where you will score one more than you, then you are going to concede goals because of the kind of the spatial abdication. And so like even scoring like 100 goals in a season might not be enough. And we could have scored more than 100 goals this season with all the chances we've created, but sometimes we just let it sort of slip by the wayside. Best Tottenham performance for a year, he says. What we got going? Big up Sean and Room. I hope everyone is awesome in the Sunday night. Good to see you, Steve. Finn, good to see you. Mauler, Lennon could play pro, was a bit of a cheat code. Wow. Keen 3, JD. Who's JD? Sandro and Michael Brown all in the score sheet today. Who's Jermaine Defoe. Lennon with 2 assists as well. So it was like a 2010, 2005, 2010 era team. Okay. Who was in the Milan side? Forget about all the toxic in life on YouTube. You all need a way to find a way out. No one is perfect. When you wake up for another day, simple. Exactly, 100%. Man. Like I say, I just hope he's okay, bro. It's like, you know, hope everyone's okay. Wouldn't wish anyone to go through a near-death experience. Horrendous, scary stuff, man. Our mortality is a very real and you know, it's a thing we're all going to have to deal with at some point. Some of us sooner than others, and it will be scary, right? Because you're going to die alone. Unfortunately, you might die with people next to you, but you're going to go through that process alone. So, not nice to think about. And I hope he's okay. Evening, John. Adrian, couldn't argue with Harry. To be fair, yeah, same. Yes, you know what, Spurs, John. I agree, mate. I couldn't argue either. Everyone's saying evening to each other. Let's get through this. Got mine, Sean, with trousers in 1991 for £16. Yeah, inflation's a bitch, isn't it? I guess it was some of the best of Joel and Redknapp's players, 100%. Who almost died? Paul. I don't know what was wrong with him, but I saw a video of him like with a massive glandular swelling, I think. So maybe he had something with his lymph nodes or something like that. I don't know. But anyway. Good evening, Nita. Everyone's saying good evening to each other. Sean, you want some? I'll give it you. You've got no fans. You got no grand. What was his name? The something menace. I forget. Is that whatever? I know you don't know me, but probably changed my name in 2004. I know you don't know me, but you probably changed my name in 2004. Kenneth Tottenham Hotspur, for real. Not sure what you're talking about. I prefer the defender for Bournemouth who looks like Crouch over Branthwaite. Oh, Huyson Sauce. Is that who you're talking about? Yeah, he's class. Absolutely class. Going to cost a bundle, though, he will. Mauler. Club has decided on an identity. We'll choose next manager by it. Be someone who can build on what we've got. Let's scoot through. Not being in Europe next season will hurt us. Yeah, well, Chris Callan back up chat. Lol. I did this, lol. Yeah, I've got no this. I've seen 2 of your comments and none of them make sense. Kenneth, I don't know what you're talking about, my man. Unless you're talking to someone else. El Dante, member for 10 months. Always enjoyed today's match. Hope you're all good. Was it on TV? Did people go to it? I haven't got access to anything anymore, so I don't see it. Evening, Sean. Evening, Tommy Boy. Daniela Stewart. Daniel 90, how they must be out of contract. The European win does not open till end of June. Chrissy Boy's in the house. Good to see you. Good to see you, John. I'm not sure Eze all that. Do you know what, Mrs. Stewart? I kind of agree with you. I think he's got like James Maddison vibes, like can float in and out of games. He's got magic in him for sure. He's got injury problems, hamstrings made of cheese. And I think a lot of people were like attached to some version of him that they saw when he was up and coming and thought he's going to be the next thing. I don't think he's as consistent as someone who's maturing at that rate should be. Like, there's so many people that do a couple of great things and perform consistently when they're 18, 19, and you go, this guy's going to be amazing. And then they taper off. And then people go, oh, he's still world class or he's still close to that level. But it's really just because you've remembered, like you've already kind of like attached yourself to an idea. And then you kind of like, unless you're paying real attention to him, which most people wouldn't do because he's a Crystal Palace player, you're not paying that much attention to everything he does, then you're not going to change your opinion of him unless it's like materially significant changes in his performances. And I think he's a good player, a very good player. Don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting there criticizing him. He's very, very talented. I just don't think he's kicked on as much as others do. And that's the problem with opinions, right? And ideas. People do attach themselves to it. And I try my hardest to not do that. Like, even though I get caught up in the Levy thing I get caught up in it because like it was only ever the pursuit of debate, pursuit of balance. Like I don't care about Daniel Levy, but then when I get like rolled out on other channels, and the topic of the conversation is him, in the pursuit of balance and good content, I'll obviously always take that other side because there's not many people that will take that side of the argument. But then people think that you're attached to that side and you're not in any way, shape or form. I don't care. Like if he screws up, I will say he screws up. If he leaves, I'm happy to say goodbye. If he stays, I'm happy as long as we improve. But like you end up kind of thinking, I hope that when there's something that's happened, when there's something where you could point the finger at Daniel Levy and go, donut, you're looking for a reason for it not to be that way so that you can defend it. But in reality, you're not trying to defend him. You're trying to defend your previous points. You know what I mean? Like you're attaching yourself to things that don't matter, that are not important. And it's out of some like weird ego thing that I'm very much aware of the dangers of and always consciously try and steer clear of. But sometimes you just can't help it. So and rating players is like a micro version of that. Micro version. Bring in Ravella, Eze, and Lucaba. Look, Castello, Lucaba, El Dante. Remember him? I think he's on my list as well. You know, I think he's on my list. Hang on. No, he's not on my list. He's not on my list. He should be on my list. I love Castello Lucaba. When he was in France, he was ratatata. Haven't followed him too much since he went over. Did he go to Leipzig? I think he is, isn't he? The two Sporting Lisbon players, Daniel, I thought you meant just doing deals because I think Chelsea are already agreed. What should we talk about there? I think Liverpool will offer Nunez in cash for Isak, maybe. Well, there you go. Like, there's another team that's going to come in and look for someone, aren't they? They're going to need to rebuild their midfield. Their forward line needs a little bit of a revamp, doesn't it? Where we at? How many people have I got to catch up with? Oh, loads. Hang on. Daniel totally agrees with me. Yeah, good. Smart men. Smart minds, rather, Daniela. Smart minds. It still shows deals can be done, though. Where we get to? Wheelstone Raider. That's it. You want some? You want some? I'll give it you. Hoyson does look solid, doesn't he, mate? Stanley Cush. Yeah, 100%. 100%. Let me put the link out. Let me put the link in here 1 second. Let me see if I can at least share that without a problem. We'll find out. There you go, guys. Anyone wants to come on and chat? There's the link. Did it come up? Did it appear? There it is. By the way, this is also on Sean Butler TV. I want to ask you this, guys, right? Because I obviously Sean Butler TV was supposed to be a football finance channel, and finance primarily because obviously that's like one of my passion projects. I love the business of sports. I love it, but there's not enough in the way of daily content that's really that interesting to be able to like put out daily content and grow the channel. And for the most part, I barely touched it this year. It started really well. Got to like 2.5K or whatever pretty quickly. Got some decent videos. But most of the videos that are on there are just updates to whatever's going on in the world of PSR and FFP. And so like you have to wait for one of those. You know, long story short, I wanted to ask you this. I've got a lot of other things that I'm passionate about. Like I'm passionate about obviously finance, crypto. I'm passionate about stocks and shares. I'm passionate about politics. I'm passionate about conspiracy theories, JFK, 9/11, COVID, you name it. Egyptians. Have you guys seen that? What's happened in the last couple of months? But it's only just been reported about what's going on with the pyramids. Apparently, there's like 2 kilometers of coils and things that are going into the ground underneath, like the deepest trenches, the deepest holes ever dug in the history of humankind with technology is nothing compared to how deep apparently some of these things go. Like, I'd love to be able to talk about that stuff, do videos about that stuff, but I don't know if it's like, can you really mishmash your content where you talk a little bit about football finance on a Monday and then Tuesday you bring out stuff about Egyptians? And on a Wednesday you're talking about, you know, what happened to Tower 7 at the World Trade Center? I don't know, but let me know if you think it might be something that you're interested in. If you're interested to kind of to participate in content other than just football with me, then let me know if you think it would be cool, or if you just think it's just keep it to football finance and so be it. Who we got in the back? We got Adrian. How do I get you in here? Add to stage. There he is.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm all right, mate. How are you?
Well, you could connect Marmouche and Mido and Salah to your Egyptian.
There you go. Get the links. Yeah, exactly. Link it up.
Love it.
Yeah. 100%.
Signpost it. Yeah, it's good.
Good to see you, man. Good to see you.
It's good
what's
to
been
see
going
you
on, buddy?
as well, Sean. You keep coming and going. You know what I mean? It's like we need you more around permanently because we like your content. Love the dog. Love the walks with Bugsy. I mean, she's an absolute beauty. She puts you to shame. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
She's gorgeous, isn't she?
Everyone's got a grift, mate. Everyone's got a grift. Everyone's got something that's their kind of hook on their channel. And for me, I realised that day one that I'm not that interesting, but Bugsy Malone in the background is a way. You come for the dog, you might stay if you listen to a little bit of news, views, and clues as we go.
Yeah, it's great.
So what's going on, man? Like, did you watch the game today? Did you go to the game?
No, I didn't actually. I'm trying to sift through, all the wheat and chaff regarding all the transfer rumours on the low tier media. I don't get why these low tier medias are that clueless. Why aren't they looking to where it's obvious we need to reinforce the places where positions we need to obviously reinforce? And we just link with every man and a dog. I mean, I know you've got a list. I mean, I've got 2 banners in our group, and it's got 34 names on it. Oh,
really?
Yeah, and it's just counting.
Let me see if any of them match off. Right. So let's start with centre backs. Right. So I basically prioritised under 23s, but there's a couple of players in here that are a little bit older than that. I didn't realise David Hanko is 27, 28 years old. So like he's pushing on a little bit, but he's 26.
Yeah, and he can play left back as well as left centre back. He would be a good acquisition. His experience is, if we bring one in, I mean, do we really need one? I mean, like, this is the other thing. I mean, like, you've got the 3 kids. Vuskovic should go straight into the squad, in my opinion. You've got Phillips and Dorrington. Davis, well, has he been given that year's extension? I haven't seen it confirmed. Some people says he has, and others are saying he's going to West Brom. So
who? Sorry, who you talking about?
Ben Davis.
Yeah,
he's not an upgrade if you keep him, though, is he? A great servant, 300 games. He should be moved on. He 100%. Should be. I mean, like,
you've got to be able to distance yourself. You've got to be able to distance yourself from this notion.
Emotionally attached to players that have been good servants of this club, right? 100%, and move on.
100%.
3 youngsters, then you'd have Denso. All right, Dragerson, he dropped off it a bit. His game dropped off, but there's promise in that defender. Then you got Romero and VDV.
Would you sell Dragerson?
No, I want to see more of him. I think there's a talent there. He's quick. He's good in the air. He could do a job. And we don't know what sort of manager we're going to come in if Ange doesn't survive in the summer.
Yeah.
He's obviously staying to the summer because the second leg of the Europa League's the 17th of April. You're approaching the end of the season. He's not going nowhere, is he? So you've got that. So he'll be here to the summer. You might get the boot in the summer. Who knows? And then you're looking at. I don't think we are in urgent need of a centre back because you've got Dance over. We don't know what Romero's doing with his contract. Rumours they're going to offer him 200, the same amount of money Son's on, 200, 250 grand a week to stay. Well, he's won the World Cup. He's won 2 Copa Americas. If he's really desperate to win, the Champions League, then you go to Real Madrid. But that's if they've got the money to buy him and ain't looking for a Saliba or someone else. You don't know, do you? So he might not have that option. I mean, they might not come in for him. They might not want to spend 70 mil. He's worth 70 mil on that player, if they can get someone else. I mean, he's not the only centre-back out there. So, yeah. I mean, yeah. I with the centre-back situation, I don't think it's desperate. I mean, beginning of the season, I wanted Eze. I did want Eze, and I haven't watched Eze this season, though. I did want Eze, and I wanted a left-back. I think left-back still should be our main priority. Left-back and a number 9, definitely. And
let me press pause on that for a second because I want to talk about Ryan Aït-Nouri just quickly.
Yeah.
Well, Nita's, I'm not sure if this is a joke, Nita, right? But if you have got young children, here's the way that you can do this. Right, just real quick, right? In the UK, you can put up to £20,000 a year into an ISA, right? Tax free, whatever happens. In America, you can only put, I think it's $3,600 per year that's into the IRA, which is the equivalent, or at least it was when I lived over there. And there's a stat, right? If you're 18 years old, and you put $300 a month into your IRA, and you do that every month, so you max out your allowance, $3,600 every year. You max out your allowance, and you get to 30 years old, and then you stop doing it and never put another penny into it again, and then just leave it in a stock market like the S&P 500 tracker, right? So it doesn't require any costs. You can just basically do that for free, and then whatever the performance of the market does, your IRA will emulate that. Then you will have by the time that your children are 65 and retire, they will have over $1 million. Traditionally, if you look at the historic performances of those IRAs or those tracking funds, $1 million in your pension, right? From just from doing it from 18 to 30. Conversely, if you don't do it from 18 to 30 and you start at the age of 30, if you did that every single year from the age of 30 until you were 65 and then stopped, so 35 years versus 12, you would have less money in your pension doing it from 30 to 65 than you would from 18 to 30. So if you have young children, and you can do exactly the same thing for young children, and you put in $20 a month or $30 a month from the age of 0, by the time they get to 18, and then they take that over and do the same thing from 18 to 30, they will never have a financial worry in their life when they get to their pension age. It's the most understated and undervalued, unknown way to get yourself out of any financial hardship. If you have a young child, set up a little ISA for them, a child ISA, and just put a little bit of spare change every time you buy a coffee. Round it up to the nearest pound, and put that money into something for them. And then by the time they're 18, let them take it over. And by the time they retire, they will never have a problem. Promise you that. Anyway, sorry about that. Don't know if that's a little tip for you there, Nita. I'm not be sure if you were taking the piss when you asked, but it's incredible what you can do with compound interest. Adrian, Ryan 8 Nouri, left back, Wolves, incredibly balanced, 30 million quid, Tottenham front and centre allegedly. Would you take that player? And if so, does that mean that you would rather see Jed Spence play on the right side, or would you? Because I think Jed Spence has been better on the left than the right, and therefore I'd be happy
on his right foot, can't he, and cut in
Yeah.
But I haven't seen a lot of 8 Nouri. He's getting a lot of media attention at the moment because those that are clever enough to realise we need a left back just sussed it out after over a year. I don't know a lot about the player. I've read about him. Apparently he's very quick. Some people question his defensive capabilities. We've also linked with Dennis Serkin, our ex-academy graduate at Sunderland. We're also...
Kirkes as well from Bournemouth.
Kirkes now. I've seen Kirkes. Kirkes looks good, right?
Unbelievable.
We're not going to get Robertson off of Fulham, are we? So
I don't know why not.
Yeah.
You know, Daniel Levy clearly wants an American in the team, right?
Well, there are bargains to be had in this transfer working, and just because you're going for bargains doesn't mean you're not going for quality as well. Because I think with Vlahovic in the last year of his contract in the summer, and Juventus want to unload him because they got Muani in, so you could get Vlahovic for probably 25-30 mil, right? And I've watched David Fratesi and videos for Milan, and you could pick him up now. He's fallen down a pecking order. Italian international. You could pick them both up for about 60 mil. I think this is a no-brainer.
Wait, hang on. Fratesi's a midfielder, though, isn't he?
DM. He's box to box. He's aggressive. He's more aggressive than Højbjerg was in that position, and I think he would do a fantastic job for us. And we only need one because we don't know if Gray or Bergvall are going to share the defensive roles in midfield as well. I don't like numbers. I rather call them holding midfielders, like the old days, really. But so we only need one, but we need a good number 9 in there. Although maybe
let's not jump around too much positionally. We started with the centre backs. I've got a whole list of DMs as well. So we're asking about whether we have overlap in our list here, right? So my list for under 23-year-old centre backs that we could come in. I've got Jared Branthwaite. I've got Diamandi, Piero Hincapia, Mosquera, Huijsen, Inacio, Ordone, Vandenberg, and Belosian are players that I all really
I've only got Branthwaite and Huijsen on there. But I don't think they're on my list, but they're in my mind because I was waiting. Because it's not that I want to be dismissive, but Brentfate's going to be 70 mil, I reckon. He's that good.
50 million, apparently, according to reports. Apparently,
and if you're going to bring him in, why don't you bring in Vaskovic in instead? Right? He's got mental stats, 7 goals, 20 odd games, 2 or 3 assists. He's not the quickest. He admits it himself. Reads the game like well. He's just from Hajduk Split to the Polish league to the Belgian league. Every time he stepped up, he's absolutely smashed it.
Do you get Dan Burn vibes with him, mate? Like his ability to win the ball in the air. Like you look at that. Look at that
he's
situation.
6'4" and still growing, Sean.
I thought he was 6'7", isn't he? Or 6'4", is he? Yeah, he's
just 6'4", 6'5". He's in that area.
I didn't realise that.
And he was only 18 in February, so we couldn't bring him in at the squad in January because he wasn't 18 yet.
His you know, like I've absolutely loved Eddie Howe. Right, Eddie Howe's ability to create a simple but very effective tactic, and then utilize it because he's got players that are on board and that practice it and drill it, and then just it yields results. And you can see in the last couple of games, Dan Burns, what he did against Liverpool, right, and then what they did exactly the same thing in the England game, and he had almost the exact same outcome. It's such an easy, simple trick, right? When you've got someone who's 6'5", 6'6", who is a monster in the air, knows how to time the ball, and you've drilled this over and over again, which is not something I think that you can ascribe to Andrew's tactics. It doesn't feel like they do these drills in this regard from a set piece perspective. But if you had a manager that did, imagine you got Vescovic, right, or the other player who's out on loan at the moment, who's also 6'4", the other centre back, Ash Phillips. That's it. Yeah. So another guy, right, very strong in the air. All you got to do is let them set themselves up outside the box, right? Because there's no way that anyone or that multiple people can mark a player that's outside the box when everybody else is in the kind of the melee around the penalty spot or around the 6-yard box. And so if you're doing that, then he's going to have a run on whoever's defending him. And there's very few players in the Premier League that are going to, or very few teams that are going to put their best centre-back, their tallest centre-back against a Dan Burns who's starting his run outside of the box. So if Dan Burns knows where the corner kick is going to be put generally, whether it's at the back post, the near post, or whatever the penalty spot, all he's got to do is get there. And if the ball gets there as well, then he's got a run, a jump, a lead, and he's also got 3-4 inches on the next guy. And Eddie Howe is just like, it's so simple, yet it's so effective that to me, I feel like we should be doing that exact same thing. If you bring in Vescovic or if you bring in Ash Phillips, we've got an edge there that hopefully we can take advantage of. But you know, the problem is that if you're playing a high line, Adrian, last thing I'll say before I hand it back is most of those players that are 6'4", 6'5" don't have this speed to be able to cover their tracks, right? So what you get in the height, you lose in the speed. And if you're playing a high line, then it can be problematic. What's your thoughts?
Well, with the high line also, you do get the benefit. I don't know how quick Vaskovic is. I've watched videos of him, so I haven't seen him, you know, in a tools race. But if you play a high line, you pick up less bookings as well. You look at Romero and VDV. Romero's no slouch, and he reads the game well. So if a ball's hit on the top, over the top, or down the channels, down the wings, they're off and running, aren't they? They're winning the ball. When you're playing a mid and low block, you're making more tackles, and you've got more chance of picking up a yellow card. I don't think Romero's I think he's only picked up 1 yellow card this season or something. I'm not sure. VDV's only picked up a couple. The
Suma's taken most of them, isn't he?
Well, you adapt according to who your centre backs are, don't you? Like you've alluded to that. If they're not quick, if they're just solid stoppers, good technically. Alderweireld and Vertonghen were they were a brick wall. They were solid stoppers.
Yeah.
None of them had VDV's pace, and neither of them could pass.
They were Vertonghen was what, 6'1", Alderweireld similar like that. It was. I feel like the game is moving to a situation where you need to have in your squad or on the pitch a player that's 6'4", 6'5", because it's so useful. It doesn't have to be all the time, but so useful when you need a goal or when you're defending in the last minute and you can just win everything. And like I said, and Phil agrees, I think that if you just set it up correctly so that you stand the ball up and then you have someone that's running from outside the box where the other defenders can't go and mark him before the ball comes in, then they have a run and jump, literally a run and jump on the next on the defense. And if you get someone that can put it on the spot 8 times out of 10, then you're always going to have a chance. And Tottenham just don't score enough goals from set pieces, Adrian. You know?
No, we don't. And it's not just the corners; it's free kicks as well. The 6 first-team coaches, one of them is a goalkeeping coach, Rob Birch, but you think they should be working on when this international break's over. I think all the players will be back with a week to go before the next game against Chelsea, so they get a chance to work on. I mean, like I'm exasperated when I watch corners, when we faff about corners, when Sonny and Maddison faffed about that free kick in that game, when we waste what should be an opportunity to try and make something happen. That I just find it so annoying. I mean, free kicks, Sean, I think the actual strike rate for trying to bend a ball around the wall is about 1 in 16. Well, when you know that, right, why aren't you trying something different? What's the magnetic attraction? Is it part of Sky's contract or something? What happened to the tap to the side? Who's got the hardest shots in their team? Who can run on and really blast one? Maybe the goalkeeper will spill it or it'll go in. What happened to the chip over the wall?
Pedro Porro's got the best shot from distance, I think.
What happened to the chip over the wall, Martin Peter style? You might not remember. Or the slide rule pass down the side of the wall, for a player to run onto and an old gaping goal to aim at. Corners. What happened to the flick on at the near post we used to do? What happened with the ball from the corner straight to the angle of the penalty area? When Sheringham was
Sheringham, Anderson Sheringham.
Or whatever. Yeah. Why are we not varying
that one was employed too much.
Everything is so robotic. And I think one of the most annoying things watching Spurs is our throw-ins. They're just an absolute disgrace.
Yeah.
There's no cohesion. There's no fault with them. Players get the ball. They don't know what to do with it. I mean, players should be making them, and you should be taking them quick. So we let the other team get set, and when
there's no urgency. I agree. It's like it's just a fait accompli. The ball's gone out. Just pick it up. Whereas, again, another type of player that there's value in is someone who's got a long throw on him. Right?
Yeah.
We saw it with the Rory Delap, and we saw it against Tamworth. Like they cause mayhem, and there's got to be a technique to it. I'm sure it's technique, right? Like it's not these guys have got like insane. They're not built differently. They just know how to throw a ball better. That could be learned and employed. I would imagine. But yeah, at the very least, at least spend some time on the training ground practicing setups, quick throw-ins, right? Like because it's part of the game, and it's like the ball goes out of play for the throw-on so often, and if you're not like the other team are not like they're not going to be set up for it. They're going to be asleep half the time, right? So like there's opportunities there that we don't take, and it just seems like everything to me. And again, this is I know you're not allowed to criticize Angie. Some like forget that, but like it's like exactly. Like, I just feel like it's such lazy preparation. And going back to the corners, like Sonny gets that goal against United in the Carabao Cup. And then for the next 4 games, every time we had a corner from that side, Sonny was trying to do the same thing. Like he was trying to score goals from the corner or put it in the same area. And variety is the spice of life, Adrian. Like you need to keep people guessing. If you do the same thing over again, predictability is the worst form of ability, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean the throw-ins. I mean, like if it was just a question of arcing the ball, then get your tallest players, which probably your centre backs. And do we practice this? Do we know who's got the longest throws, like you alluded to? Do we know who's got the hardest shots in the team that we can employ? We know that Porro's got fantastic technique and can hit a ball. But then why aren't we just tapping it? And another infuriating thing is we get a ball on the halfway line, a free kick, and we tap it 3 yards sideways to a player. Right? If that's Jordan Pickworth, he's launching it into the penalty area. If it's Everton, I mean, why not? I mean, the percentages are now you may lose the ball, but you might cause a bit of mayhem. And now and again, a defender misheads the ball. It comes to one of your players, and you score a goal. I mean, it's all so robotic to me. I mean, I want to watch the football now. It's all horseshoe. Every team plays virtually the same way. Back in the day, you had players, you'd have 4-4-2, 3-5-2, 4-2-3-1. You had so many variations on a system.
Yeah.
And it was good. And it was good to see. Now, It's play narrow. The whole idea, even with the high press, is to play narrow. Don't let them play through the middle because it's the quickest way to your goal or their goal. So it's always force the players out wide. There's always one long tranche of pitch on the left-hand side of the pitch, which is open. If a winger's parked out there, he should have a field day if the ball's got out to him quick enough, And like I just find it completely. Hello, mate, whoever you are. I just find
Hello,
it.
Eduardo.
I just find it robotic, And
Camera's frozen. Hang on. Oh, we're done here.
it's only good when you win.
Hang on. I lost you. Lost everyone. There we go. Wait a minute. There we go.
Oh, there we go.
Eduardo, I'll bring you in when your camera's sorted, mate.
Yeah, I mean,
let's move forward, mate, to all these wingers that we're looking at. So I've got this is just some names to throw out there. I don't know if you like any of these, but Ben Seguir, I think is quality. Antonio Nusa, like he'll move on at some point and go again. I think he's quality. Still would love him. I think he's brilliant. Adingra from Brighton. Jamie Gittins, obviously we're linked with him forever from Dortmund. Nico Williams, I'm guessing that's a tall stretch. Who's the other one I've got here? Lewis Henry, I think his name, or Henry. I was checking him out, and he looks like an absolute baller. But
Semenyo,
yeah, another one.
Yeah, we've been linked with his ex in there at Lazio. I mean, what happened to our mate Scott Olsen? What's he doing?
Still killing it, mate. He's still killing it. Scott Olsen, last player. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if Scott Olsen though is the right player for this system now, but he would have been perfect in the Conte system. I don't know if he's a perfect fit for this particular model of football, but still a great player, man. Still a great player.
It's like when we look at our wingers, though. I mean, like, are we really going for a winger? I mean, I can see the number 9, the holding midfield player on the left back. Are we really going for a winger? I mean, like, we've got Sonny and Mikey Moore. Then you don't know what's happening with Solomon Yang-Min Hook. Then you got Johnson.
Solomon's not coming back to Tottenham. I'd be very surprised
if he doesn't. Then you've got Johnson, Odegaard, and Tell. That's 5 wingers for 4 spots already. You know, so I mean,
do you think that Sonny will be sold in the summer?
No, they'll keep him for the following year. If only to mentor Yang-Min Hook. No, he'll stay. When he's looked fresh.
Do you think he? Well, does he? I think he slows everything down now. I think he's got this like he looks down at his feet all the time, and he's always trying to do this. He's almost reverted back to type where he just wants to cut in and shoot, but people long ago work that out.
When he looks off it, apart from the fact when he was knackered, and on the eye test he hasn't looked that great, but he's got 11 goals and 11 assists this season. When he's looked good, it's like when you're Ipswich away and Archie Gray pings that through ball forward to him, or Bentancur pings that ball through to him, and he gets 2 assists and he's running on. From our wingers, we move the ball slowly. They've usually got their balls, they've got their backs to the opponents. They've either got to beat an opponent on the half turn, or they pass the ball back.
But this system requires you, and any front 3 model requires you now to have wingers that it doesn't matter how you receive the ball. They have to have the acceleration, the turn, the first touch, and the desire and the willpower. Even if you fail, I'd rather see them try and fail than concede the chance before they've even given it a go. And I think that Sonny's confidence is shot. I don't get me wrong. Like when he's on, he still looks great, but he is not on anywhere near enough for me. And this again, same with Ben Davies, right? Same sort of energy. No disrespect, no discredit. I love both of them. They're great servants for the football club. But if Tottenham want to kick on, then when you have players like Ben Davies, at least is willing to sit on the bench and play his role. But Sonny isn't. Sonny, you saw from the talk that he did in Korea, right? He's saying if I'm not playing, it's not because of me, it's because of the manager. That's the kind of the inference from that is like it's outrageous that I'm not playing more. And to me,
Dave, the Irish Hotspur's just coming. Give him the link. Come on, if you're back on, if you've got time, Dave. Come on.
Come on, Dave.
The link's in the channel, Dave. Get you on, mate.
Anyone wants to come on can come on.
Yeah, I think you've got to look at these, haven't you? You look at some of these deals. There's so much we can speculate on, and we don't know what's happening. We don't know what profile of player they're out of the profiles they've looked at, which ones they're really keen on. I mean, you could bring Johnny Cardoso in tomorrow for 21 mil, And if you didn't really want him, you could sell him for 30 mil the next day because he's played that well, and clubs are looking at him. That would be that's a Levy type deal. I'm not against Cardoso.
I watched him. I did the Y Scout on the YouTube thing, mate. I don't know, like YouTube's like a highlight reel where you see the best. And honestly, like even his highlight reel to me, he does this, like the ball's bouncing in the air and he likes to flick it over people's heads. And I watched like a 20-minute compilation of him, and I must have seen him do the same thing like 12 times. And I'm like, if that's your go-to thing when you've got a loose ball, you want to flick it over your head, you might be able to get away with that in Spain because then the press isn't quite as ferocious. But you're not doing that in the Premier League and getting away with it. I could be wrong. I just think that player is going to end up frustrating us.
Yeah, I could see us getting him, and it'd be a no-brainer because you could sell him straight on, which is not really the right thing to do, in my opinion. I'd rather get Paratici if we're looking outside. I mean, we looked with Joe Gomez at Wolves and all, but I just think Paratici is a better player. I just think he's a better player technically.
Would you rather have Paratici, or like, how about, here's a few names for you in the DM space: Adam Wharton, Baliba from Brighton, Arta Vermeeren, a player that we were linked with last summer, who I still think is class. Obviously, Johnny Cardoso, Alan Vereda, Rovella, Aslani, Moscardo. There's so many DMs out there now. Hugo Larson as well. Hugo Larson, another one, right?
I'm not sure.
Matt Sweefer. Remember Matt Sweefer? He's an absolute baller, and he's only just turned 24. So and Angelo Stiller as well. There's so many good players out there and also Hayden Hackney. I don't know if I can bring this up. I don't know if I can.
Edison, mind you, I don't think he's available. Edison from Atalanta, yeah, another. I mean, he cost a pretty penny, but I think that he's he'd be sensational. What about Kimmich?
Yeah, well, like I say, a lot of people poo-pooed it though, saying that it's not someone that he's 30, he's just signed a 4 or 5 year extension, he's probably going to see out his days at Bayern Munich. Fair enough, whatever. What about Job Bellingham? I don't know if you think of him. I think he looks.
He's good. Getting good reviews in the Championship with Sunderland, isn't he? As is their goalkeeper. I haven't seen enough of him. People are actually excited because he's the brother of,
Yeah, but he's got that energy. Big, strong guy. He's got legs on him. He's run, can pace, he can dribble. His defensive. I did a video about him the other day.
I don't see, but when I've glimpsed a few of these players, all right, Walton looks technically good on the ball, right? And then I'm looking at Berryvale. I know when people call him Berryvale, and I think we've got one there. And if Gray can play there, all right, bring an experienced one in. We're still going to have 7 midfielders next year once Basuma goes, and he's going, right?
Basuma and I want Bentancur out the door as well.
They're offering him a new contract, so he's not one. Fans might want him out, but the offer, well, if he turns it down, he goes, right? In fact, the fans that want him out get their wish. But I actually like Bentancur, so we can disagree there.
I don't dislike him. I just think that he's not consistent enough. Like his injuries just destroyed him, and then he came back and then got injured again, then came back, then got suspended for 8 games, then came back, and he's just like when he's on, he's on. But when he's off, it's another one of these like he goes missing, mate. And you know what? Like I say, I put that at the feet of the manager in as much as, again, like this is a criticism. I don't care. But if you think that you don't need a 6 because you have the job of inverted fullbacks, but the inverted fullbacks are so high up the pitch that they're nearer the penalty box than they are the halfway line, then like you're going to get caught out. And this idea, like I saw it against, I forget who it was. Was it Fulham? No, it wasn't Fulham. It was maybe it was the RZ Outmark game. I can't remember which one it was, but Bentancur was abdicating his positional responsibilities when we didn't have the ball and they were approaching the box time after time after time because he was like expecting someone else to step in and get the ball back, and then he was looking to like pounce and gravitate back up the pitch on the transition, which I get. That's your inbuilt vibe when you're an 8, right? Like someone else is going to do the defensive work. You're going to play with a 6, but when he's playing as the 8 that is supposed to be a 6, like it's not good enough. It's not good enough, and that's a tactical mismatch, not necessarily a player problem.
Well, we know that our midfield has been pants. Whatever blend of midfield Ange's chosen, we just haven't been able to get the consistency out of them now. Maybe partly because certain blends haven't had enough time to play together, and it may be just because they were knackered having to play too many games or whatever, But we all know from playing football, most games are won and lost in midfield, and the midfield is the blend. It like feeds off the back four and feeds the front players. A lot of times our front three are slated, and rightly so in a lot of the games. But a lot of time, in fairness to them, they've received no service at all. So you look at it that way. So this midfield needs fixing, and we need a holding midfielder in there. I mean, I trust Graham Bergvall to do it, but you want an oven-ready player brought in, like a Paratici, who can do that job. So as you haven't got to rely on them, because they're kids and they'll have in different games they'll have, and Bergvall, and both of them have been absolutely superb. And actually, the one blessing for all their injuries problems, even though we're having a crap league season, is the fact that those two kids have had so much game time, which is going to
that's the only bright spark of this season, like the youth emergence, And but I knew Bergvall would be class. Like the second I saw him, I said, this guy's going to be like so many people give him time. He's too young, small sample size. Like you can just tell. When you watch enough football, you can just tell when someone is so young and they're not afraid and their desire to get on the ball is as demanding as his is, and he's got that ability to look up and pick a pass and create space for himself and thread it. You've got a player in there, and the fact that he scored that goal in the Europa League as well. Was it the Carabao Cup against I forget who it was. Was it Liverpool? I forget who it was. Just confident. Technique, talent, and an appetite. And at 18 years old, it's brilliant.
And he sticks his foot in, Sean. He's got 8 yellow cards, 4 in the league.
He's raw, and he needs to calm down in that regard, because that will hurt him, and people will resent that. And the other thing I think he needs to also work on is, because it won't be long before it's found out. Sometimes when he's put under pressure, when he's playing in the six and he's come deep to collect it, if he's got his back to goal in a defensive minded position and the other team press him, he can get a little bit scruffy and a little bit scrappy, and he doesn't like being under that kind of that heat in that area of the pitch. But that's something that if that's the two criticisms of a player that's 18/19 years old, that's come from the Swedish league and emerged that quickly as a first name on the team sheet for me at the moment, then it's a wonderful thing, because no one's perfect. Everyone's going to make mistakes. But if the only two things that you can really call out are his sensitivity towards calming himself down around yellow cards and
he's got a very good cross diagonal field pass on it.
Amazing, mate.
Very good. And I see Romero doing it at times when players in enough space, but I don't see any other people doing it. I mean, like, we know Decky can ping a wicked crossing when he wants to for goals that people have scored, but they're about it. Grader, I mean, I've been so impressed. I mean, he hardly ever gives the ball away. He got a bit bullied at Ipswich away, didn't he, by Delap a little bit? But
who doesn't, mate? Who doesn't?
Yeah. Who wouldn't anyway? I mean, that guy is phenomenal. Bullies everyone he comes up against as well. So
would you take him at Tottenham?
Delap,
Liam Delap.
I would, but I've got, because he would do a good job. I mean, he would do a similar job to Solanke. Maybe that's not a good thing. Maybe you need a bit of variation there. I think he's a baller, mate. He's so fast as well for a big lump. He's got legs on him. Positionally, he knows where to. He figures out very early on in the game. What's your take then? What's your take on? See, I'm a big fan of what I've seen him. I don't know this season. All his numbers aren't awful. I'm a big fan of Dusan Vlahovic.
And then you're going to say that people in the chat, about 45 minutes ago, people in the chat were going, "Adrian's he's got a bit of a semi on for Dusan Vlahovic." I preferred the version of Vlahovic when he was at Fiorentina. I don't watch a lot of Serie A. I don't watch a lot of Serie A football. I don't particularly like it. It's too slow for me. But I'm not that I'm not that familiar with his day to day. A good player for sure.
What about Gyökeres then? Because we're linked with him again. And like you're alluding to, everyone's alluding to, we're going to make a sort of marquee signing and pay top wages. I believe it when I see it, but
we will. I'll give 20 quid to charity. I don't need to bet anyone, but I'll give 20. I'll give more than that. I'll give 50 quid to charity.
What a girl charity is he?
Yeah, no, yeah. Survivor Street.
I mean,
you don't get much for 50 quid, let me tell you. Maybe syphilis. I think that Tottenham are going to break the transfer record this summer, and I also think you'll see a new club's highest earner. And I don't think it will be an internal player that will get a contract. So, like, I'm not including Romero, or for example, right? If he stays, I think that you'll see someone else come in that is club's highest earner and club transfer record spend, which is what 66 million, 65 million, something like that. Is that the record?
Dembele, yeah.
Still on Dembele, is it? Yeah, yeah.
Or something. Yeah, Gyökeres is interesting. He's not
going to come to Tottenham, mate.
He's developed since he left Coventry City, right? But the thing is, what we need to take in consideration, what we do in a transfer window, we're going to have to pay wages if we ain't in Europe next year, because we're not going to attract players if we're not paying top wages. They'll come for the wages. They'll come for the wages in Europe, but if we want top quality players, I'm not saying Gomez isn't a very good player. He is a bit diminutive, a bit small for me, but then our dealers were small. So you could get him on the free, and he seems keen. We keep getting linked with Tyler Diblin, who looks a talent, but another young player to bring in. Tyler
Dibbling, I think he's on my list of wingers. I put him down.
I wasn't. When I last looked at Jonathan David, I wasn't that impressed. He didn't smash it in international matches for like.
He was terrible at the World Cup. He was so under inspiring at the World Cup. But
he's got a lot of goals this year, but
he gets a lot of goals every year, mate. The goals ratio that he chips in, and at every level, the Champions League, the Europa League, the Conference League, the French League, and international. You can't argue with his contributions. You cannot argue with it. But whether or not it's by design or right place, right time, or whatever. I used to think he was clumsy. But then, you know what, mate? Like, who am I? And for what it's worth, I also thought that Serhou Guirassy was a massive, clumsy.
I liked him when he was at Stuttgart, yeah. I liked him. Although he must be 30, 31, I thought he could have done a good job for us.
Who, Guirassy?
Before we brought Solanke in, yeah.
Guirassy, I think, is 28 now. But 28. He was a slow, like a late developer, but I watched him. I think he scored like 12 goals in the Champions League this year. Like it's insane. Like his numbers, because he moved somewhere. I think did he move to Eindhoven? I think he moved somewhere. He left Stuttgart and moved somewhere in Holland, I think. Let me know. Someone in the chat, let me know. But Guirassy's numbers were just insane. And then I looked at him and I was like, oh shit, I've got him wildly wrong. His hang time in the air is just out of this world. He's like a basketball player, just jumps, and then gravity doesn't seem to take hold. And he can hit off the right, the left. Really good player, but he's 28, 29, so he's not gonna. He's 29 now, so I've written down he's 29. I don't think that Gyökeres is going to come to Tottenham. No chance. There's high levels.
He can go to Real Madrid, PSG, Barcelona, Bayern even. I mean, look, I
was looking at that Burkhardt. He looks a real talent, as does that Mohamed Amoura, Victor Boniface,
Sesko.
I've got Sesko down here. Agahawa as well. I've got Ekitike, Liam Delap, Vitor Roque, Brian Bobby, and Marcus Leonardo. All players that I was doing my research on. All players that I rate. Also,
would be the cheapest? I think you could get him for 35, 40 mil. It should go down. Whereas Kuna's going to cost you. He's got a 62 million buyout clause. If you really want him, pay the clause. Get him. If you really want him.
I like Mateus Cunha.
What about Mbuemo? Have you got him on your list, or Vissa?
Yeah, I was literally just going to say.
You're like me. I'll check the list. Yeah. You're like me.
I like Vissa. I really do like Vissa. I think he's class. I'll tell you what. I think that Liam Delap will end up at Nottingham Forest, and Nottingham Forest will be far better for having him. And I think that Tottenham need to recognise where we're at in the pecking order and what we're trying to achieve, and stop looking at some of the Nottingham Forest recruitment has been unquestionably almost perfect. It's been like they've got a manager that doesn't try and pretend like he's something he's not, that doesn't like employ a system that is that like I don't care. I'll make the team work to my model. He's like, I'm going to create a model where I utilize the players in their best, like to get the best yield, right? Like, you know, I'm going to make these players play their best game that suits them and create an interesting formation that works. Now, I personally wouldn't be very like happy with watching Nottingham Forest football all the time unless Tottenham were doing it and then second, third in the league like they are. But again, it's a means to an end, and I don't think it's good enough. Like, it's not what I want to see. But players like Visser, players like Delap, different type of players, but certainly add a lot of value. Certainly add a lot of value for me.
And they brought a lot of players in Forest, though, didn't they, over the last couple of seasons? That's why they got done on the FFP. But it seems to work. They've got the central defenders in that look decent. Yeah, I mean, like, you'd take Morgan Gibbs-White tomorrow, wouldn't you, if you wanted someone to...
in what role? As a 10?
No.
Where would you play Gibbs-White? As a winger?
No, I'd play him as an 8.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, look, I do like him, I really do, but I think he's someone. I mean, look, he's got something about him as well. He's got that. He's not going to be flustered by playing at the next level, but I don't know if he's going to really like. I don't know. I wouldn't hate it, but I don't think he's worth whatever you'd pay for him. You know, and that's the curse of having to pay the English transfer tax.
I mean, I'm still, if you're going for quality and economics, I'm going for Paratici. I like this.
You like Paratici, yeah? So Paratici and Vlahovic. Let me just quickly get these super chats for you, mate. El Dante, member for 10 months. Come on, you Spurs. Enjoy today's match. Hope you're all good. I'm not sure if I did that one, El Dante, but thank you for your support, buddy. I really appreciate it. My man, Blaine, congratulations on the Irish boys getting your 2 wins out of 2, I think it was. I'm half Irish, so I'm living half vicariously through you, mate, tonight. Thank you very much for the super chat. Always very, very generous, mate.
You've got Irish in the family here as well.
There you go. We're that's why I've turned the colour schemes green for you, mate. Gifted 5 Spurs talk show membership. If you're let's say a victim of that, maybe you are, depending on whether you like me or not. I don't know. But if you are a recipient of one of those memberships, then please make sure you say thank you to Blaine. And like I say, guys, like I'm in the pursuit of trying to put out some more content. I've got to get back at it because I hate these gaps and these absences. I always feel like I'm losing something if I don't get a chance to speak to you lot. I'm going to be doing some member phone-in shows this week. And there's a few people that reached out to me on Twitter saying they'd like to come on the show and have their say. I've responded to all of them saying you're always welcome. But first things first, let's get you onto a call-in show to see how you get on because I've given out free access to people before for panel shows and then regretted it within 5 minutes. But thank you so much, Blaine. Love you, my man. Listen, I'll put the link in if you want to come on and have a chat, my man. He says, big up, Sean and Adrian. Would love your take on this.
Yeah, Jose, come on, Jose, get on here as well. Eltel, come on.
And Eltel, yeah, I'll put the link up in a second. Do you think our next manager will inherit the same issues of needing 3 or 4 quality signings but not getting backed? In my opinion, we won't do 200 million. We won't do 200 unless we get the Champions League. And even if we did, we wouldn't spend 200 million. But I don't think we need 200 million.
No.
I think that we can probably raise. Not that we're very good at raising capital through transfers, but I think you possibly could raise maybe like 30, 40 million, Adrian, from selling Basuma, from selling
Basuma, Richarlison. That's more than 40 million.
Yeah.
Right. So even if it's Saudis or whatever, and if you've got 100 mil to spend already, our average has been 100, 120 a season. That's like 170 mil. There's no excuses in this window, Sean. We got no excuses.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Absolutely.
We should be bringing in 4 players, right?
Yeah.
Because it's also like I don't want to see the block. I don't want to see the pathway blocked for Vaskovic or Mikey Moore. You know, there's rumours he's unsettled. He's not. He only just signed a 3-year contract. Look, when he was 17 in August, when you're 16, you can sign a 3-year contract, but it's a 2-year scholarship and a 1-year professional contract. That's it. That's why when you're in the first year. When he's in his first year, Mikey Moore, up at the end of the first year, they extend that contract. I don't know if it's allowed, but it's like protection law kids, you know, so they're not exploited and things like that. So, I mean, like, you want to keep him. I mean, like, Chelsea offered 10 million for him, and we turned it down yonks ago. So, yeah, I don't want to see him give him more game time. And I don't see why we get through Frankfurt, because I've had my tenner on. We're going to win this Europa League, right? So
you've had your tenner. I spent 900 quid on a
92.
bloody. I spent
92.
850 quid on a bloody ticket, and then someone said to me, "Why'd you pay for a ticket? Your season ticket would get you a ticket." And I was like, "Would it?
Would it? Yeah, exactly.
I was like, if it does, then I'm stuck with a ticket for 800 quid. Although I think that if Tottenham get there, then I'm pretty sure I'll be able to sell the ticket for that sort of much to someone that doesn't have it.
You would.
If Tottenham don't get there, then I don't think I'll be able to find like a Bilbao fan willing to pay 800 quid, and I don't think I'll be able to find a Lazio fan, but maybe a Man United fan will take it off our hands. I don't know. But I've definitely got a ticket to the final. I've got my flights booked. I just haven't got a hotel yet. But yeah, I could do with a little break, mate. Even if Tottenham don't get there, I'll be looking up Viva Street in Bilbao.
Well, answer Blaine's question. Big up, Blaine, by the way, especially as you're so generous giving out membership every show you go on. I think the next manager of this club, or if it's the next one after the next manager, which might be Poch, I think this squad, we failed better in the transfer market recently, although we spent about 1.2 billion on players. Let that sink in, right? Before Ange coming, it was something like 685 million on 29 players. And we know shocking transfers. And since he's been in, we've added to that. So we spent about 1.2 bill since that stadium's opened on players. We failed better recently because we know we got some good youngsters in.
Yeah.
So we've done better. And I think this season they'll have developed a little bit for it and gained a valuable experience. And I think going into the next season with some more additions, I think the squad will be even stronger, whether it's with Ange or not. It's not going to get weaker. It's not going to get weaker like it was before or stand still, stagnate. It's not going to happen because we know that Basuma and Richie will be going, Werner will be going, Forster will be going. We know Gill's got injured, so he may be able to shift. They've got Marseille have got to pay the money for Højbjerg, right? That hasn't been paid yet.
How much do they owe us for him?
It's only about 8.5 mil on it or something like that.
All helps.
It all helps, social. All adds up.
It does. Do you know so I was listening to I forget the name of the podcast, but it's only on iTunes. It's not even on Spotify. And I found it randomly, and it was really interesting. The guy, I don't know who the people were, and I can't even tell you who the podcast was, but they were talking about it's like a sports business podcast, and they were saying with Ineos paying Daniel Levy something like 6 million to get out of the contract with the stadium naming seats, the stadium seats sponsorship,
coaching areas and all that around their areas. Yeah,
a lot of money for an emblem on a coach on a seat that's basically covered by. But either way, they were saying that it's going to work out better for Daniel Levy because he's already got, according to these guys, I don't know the quality of the
lined up. Yeah,
he's already got 3 or 4 names lined up for something to replace it, and therefore, like when they pay the get out early fee. And then that you have someone else to come in immediately, then in terms of actual end of contract revenue, that will be better off for the situation, which is nice to see. And in other news, I wanted to just drop you because I do want to get back to some of these names in a minute, mate. But just for what it's worth, I wanted to bring this out because I actually titled the video a couple of days ago with Adrian. We did Gone Paratici.
Oh right.
And now we're talking about him going to AC Milan. But apparently today. It's back on Paratici, and that Daniel Levy is considering. Again, don't know the relevance or the truth behind it, the veracity, guys, but apparently he's considering doing everything he can to keep Fabio at Tottenham, to re-sign him on a permanent basis. Essentially, that would require getting rid of
Lange,
however you say his name. And that would be like a deal breaker if Lange wants to stay. Obviously, there's a lot of Chiefs, not enough Indians or whatever, and sort of problems with too many cooks, spoil the broth. That's the one, right? That's the one. I always forget that phrase. And so that Lange might stay at Tottenham. Sorry, Paratici might stay at Tottenham, sign back up, obviously finish off the ban, but then be back in charge. And that's the story that's out today. And that story was out. That wasn't... Sorry?
His ban ends the end of June.
Yeah, okay, there you go. I'm glad you said that because I didn't know the details of it. But yeah, so would you? How do you feel? I know how.
I'll take him back in the shot.
Johnny feels so strongly about Lange versus Paratici. I know Big Dave hates Lange as well. So yeah, I really like Fabio Paratici, but I do think he's an old school style guy, mate. Like I think he's got a lot of contacts, but he's not someone that's going to be data-based, is he? He's someone that has conversations and spins plates and, all that kind of old school, the gentleman's agreement sort of thing.
Yeah. He's more Arthur Daly, isn't he, than technical?
Yeah. But I don't know whether that's kind of like, is that really the way to go? But I understand that you can't, like, you have to make room. Scott Munn, has he been a success? I don't think so. Has Johan Langer been a success? I don't think so. He signed a couple of good players, Johan Langer wouldn't want to be the youth team guy, but he's obviously very good at identifying youth team talent. He identified Bergvall. But Paratici's the guy that can go and identify. Paratici could go and get you your Dusan Vlahovic. Paratici could go and get you your David Fratesi. Paratici could go and get you, whoever, right? That Paratici can go and make those things happen, and I don't think Johan Lang could. So, like, what's your style on that one?
Yeah, I mean, and he's worked in a bigger league, hasn't he? Paratici to Langer, who knows a lot about Scandinavian football. Obviously, he was at Villa. You've heard conflicting reports. He weren't no good at Villa. On the other hand, you hear that he was highly rated. You don't know. I mean, Scott Munn, he's just chief football officer. He's just like number 2 to Daniel Levy. He's just to do with all the business and corporate side, really. The footballing side as well. And you've got Langer below him. He's the director of football. So then it should come to him. And they got different jobs. You can't blame everyone for everything. I mean, who's responsible? Whoever's responsible in a position takes the flak if it goes wrong. So if Langer isn't really that good, then, like, get rid of him. Simple, get rid of him. Paratici, though, and it's Johnny Ann will know as well, I mean, like, he was responsible for the whole restructuring of the academy, which is changed on recognition. I mean, Dean Rastrick went and we had a strict pay structure and we couldn't get these kids. Now we're willing to pay them a few grand a week or $5,000 a week because, and let's be fair, if you end up selling one of them, you're going to get your money back anyway, you know, and more on top, because they aren't. Look, as much as I liked that team last year and I watched all the under-21 games last year and Spurs play, they're not all going to play for Spurs. Watching that team, I think they'll all have a good career in football, right? And they're all worth millions. So
which names are you talking about?
Well, if Donnelly don't make it at Spurs or come through, or Josh Keeley, the goalkeeper, even Gunter is out on loan and Weldstone, George Abbott. Now we're talking about
the Weldstone Radar. You got no fans, you got no ground. That place is that the same guy? It's the same place. Is that where it comes to? Weldstone, yeah. Weldstone, yeah. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's on loan there. And
you
George
got no
Abbott,
fans.
I mean, it's mixed at times. We know Vaskovic and Divine's done okay at Westerlo, right? Another number 10. And you've got, like, George Abbott, though. I mean, he's played at centre-back in midfield. He was captain of the under-18s, moved into 21s, was captain of the under-1, let out. He's smashing it at Notts County. So, and you just
what
don't.
About,
I get it. It's hard for managers to blood them because it's their job. If you blood a youngster and you lose a game, you're going to get slated. Go on. Sorry.
No. Listen, I try and be as fair and reasonable as I can, but obviously opinions do shape your stance. But when it comes to this, like the Mikey Moore situation, I had this out with Johnny a couple of days ago.
No excuse me, he's ready. So
is he? Ready for the first team is one part, right? Like, are you good enough to be in the first team conversation? Yeah, sure, fine. But the next part is, if you're good enough, you're old enough. So let's park the fact that he's 17. And as a manager of a team whose job is on the line every game, if Mikey Moore is ready, then Mikey Moore has to be compared and considered in exactly the same bucket of everybody else. So Ange has to sit there and say, okay, Mikey Moore's ready for consideration, but just because he's 17 doesn't mean that he gets elevated in his gravitas points ahead of Odegaard, Tell, Sonny, anyone else, right? So on that basis that he's ready, cool. But just because you're 17, you don't get a freebie. And so if I'm entirely honest, whilst I absolutely love the fact that we've got Mikey Moore and I think he'll become a brilliant player, at the end of the day, if you put yourself in the shoes of, if you were picking the team right now and you look at what has Mikey Moore done in a Tottenham shirt, has he done meaningfully significantly more than Sonny this season, than Wilson
To
Odegaard
break
this
through
season.
to the other side, yeah. To break through to the other side, really.
Yeah, like you have to kind of go, and on that basis,
even I would
on that
waver
basis,
on
I
that.
kind of think that, like, I personally would say he's a bench player at the moment. But that doesn't mean that I'm not criticizing him. I'm just saying that I don't think in the first team at Tottenham, if you're good enough, you're old enough. So let's put aside these 17.
But then fans
Has he
will
done
come
more?
back at us and they'll go, hang on, what manager would have played a new player into his side in the away game at Arsenal when we drew 2-2 when Johnson was given his full debut away to Arsenal? All right, Johnson was 20. There's a bit, in 3 years, there's a big difference. It is, you know.
At that age, it is, yeah.
At that age it is, right? But he has done it. He has put youngsters in here and there. I mean, people say he don't play him. He does, because the team's young without putting other young players in it. You know, I mean,
yeah, but he's had to. I don't know if
Yeah.
Jed Spence would have emerged. Not that Jed Spence is young, but he wouldn't have emerged had it not been for injuries. I don't think Archie Gray would have emerged if it wasn't for injuries. I don't think Lucas Bergvall would have had as many minutes if it wasn't for injuries. You know, so it's more of like he's stumbled into, by hook or by crook, some gems, right? Let me ask you this. Just before I'm going to ask you this question. Before I do, I'm going to put a poll out because people are like jumping on the Paratici comment there about, you know, it's not over, by the way. It ain't over. He ain't effing leaving.
Look, if he doesn't come back to us, he goes to Milan. Him and Levy apparently are there like that.
Yeah, so you might get
Levy's
some deals
still
from Milan,
going to be
right?
on the phone to him about, he'd still be consulted about players in the Italian league and all that. If Levy wants to play and says, look, goes over to Fabio, look, we're looking for a number 9 or a 10 or whatever, Paratici's still going to be doing the work and he'll get a drink for it, won't he? You know what I mean? So
yeah. But let me ask the guys in the chat. By the way, there's 200 people here. Please, I don't know what the likes are, so smash the like for me, guys. Smash the subscribe. It's a cheeky little Sunday session. But I do want you to also stick in a 1 for bring Sayonara Johan Langer and welcome back Fabio, the Gon. Is he gone or is he Don? And put a 0 in if it's no. Let's stick with Langer for the data and Sayonara. So 1 for Paratici, 2 for Langer as our director of football after June. Adrian, I'm going to ask you a question now whilst I'm getting those numbers in. I'm going to ask you a question, and I am going to be listening, but I've got to run downstairs for 2 seconds and get a refill of my drink. I want you mentioned about £1 million players in the youth team that even if they don't break through, we've got a hell of a lot of young talent, like the likes of Dane Scarlett and the other players, like the other strikers.
He scored for England the other day. Mikey Moore scored for England the other day.
Yeah. So I want you, when I come back, we'll talk with the crew, but I'll be listening to you. But I want to get a list of players that you think we can sell, turn over a profit. But you're saying that because you haven't seen enough, or you don't think that they're going to break through either because of competition for spots, or they're just not good enough. I'll be back in 1 second, okay? But I can still hear you, so talk to me.
Right, okay. Yeah, we've got a good list of players to choose from then. I mean, you've got a J.E. who scored. You've got Divine, who's out on loan at Westerlo. Like I mentioned, George Abbott, Craig Matthews at Mansfield Town. You've got, it's funny when you're trying to think of them, the names escape you. Obviously, you've got Dorrington and Phillips. You would get money for them tomorrow. You've got Josh Keeley, the goalkeeper. You've got Gunter, I think is superb. I really like Gunter. He's on Wealdstone. You'd get money for Gunter. Tyrus Hall, he's a baller. Got something Moussa Dembele about him. It's a bold statement, a little bit of the Gaza about him, the way he dribbles and runs with the ball, carries the ball. But seen him play really well, and then seen him lightweight in games. A lot of potential. Then you've got younger players. You've got Williams Barnett, but he's 16, but he looks a talent at 16. You've got
what about Veliz?
Veliz, I think he should go on loan or be sold. They've got to stick or twist with him. They've got to do something with him. He's not getting as much game time. Where is he? Is it
Betis?
Betis or Seville, wherever he is. I forget.
Yeah.
He should be loaned out or sold. And to be fairness, he hasn't had a fair crack at anything, is he? I mean, he's bought in, probably a panic buyer. And
10 million pounds, and he's just, you know what? That's the thing, though, right? When you go youth centric, Adrian, you're going to make mistakes, aren't you? Some of these players just. I was saying that about Eze earlier. Like, not that he's in anything like the same conversation, but just generally speaking, people look at young players that are emerging, that break through, and you go, wow. And then unless you keep an eye on them closely and really, really study their development, you sometimes end up with kind of out of date opinions about players because they haven't necessarily carried on the same trajectory. And you're going to make these mistakes. And bringing a player over from Argentina, there's the whole process of acclimation, and being it's coming from someone that's lived on four continents. You know, acclimating to a new area is not. Sometimes it's easy and seamless. Other times it's really hard. You know. So I think the Veliz isn't someone that's going to make it. To be honest, not at Tottenham at least.
No, I can see him being sold on. He's good on. I remember his goal when we were 4-0 down at Brighton. We scored 2 late goals. He scored a goal there, didn't he? And then he didn't want to come off the pitch at the new stadium. And I forget who we played against. And he was injured and wanted to carry on. So he's got the right determination and grit about him. Good in there, aggressive. Haven't seen enough. So
only one person who fancies Johan, and that's blind as a bat. No, maybe that's why you're named what you are, mate. Everybody else is. Everyone else is. There was some rumor that River Plate want Veliz ahead of the Club World Cup. Really?
Yeah, I heard that rumor. Well, if he goes anywhere, I mean, it's always going to be Levy's always going to have a sell-on clause with him, whatever happens, right? So there's going to be a sell-on clause. So we won't lose out of it. We may just about get our money back on him. And if he really, hits his straps, then we'll make money on him. Yeah. So yeah, there are a lot of youngsters. The under-21 team's not doing so well this year because they've been ripped apart because half the squad are out on loan. So but George Abbott, he is a leader. I mean, and he's smashing.
Yeah, what happened to George Abbott? I remember him breaking
He's at
through.
Notts County. He's at Notts County.
And he broke through in the end of the Conte era. And then he didn't.
He came on pre-season, but he wasn't that good. I got to be honest. The game just passed him by. But
I remember thinking that when I saw him in the Conte model, I thought, "Hey, he's a player there, real player." The way he got back and made like a last-ditch tackle, and can you hear me? By the way,
yeah.
So yeah,
Morris Hall's very skillful, but
Tyrese Hall, yeah. And
Jay, the winger. Dan Mola, he's got a long first name. They call him Demola Ajayi, but he's very skillful. As you see by that goal he scored against Elfsborg when he jinked forward and got the one.
That was lovely, wasn't it? That was lovely. That was such a wonderful night. We were talking earlier about small bright sparks in a shit season. That night was a nice night when it 3-0 against Elfsborg when the 3 youngsters got one. Who was it? Dane got us going. Dane's impressed me actually. In the few minutes that he's had, I know he's failed on his loan deals, but the flick on for Kulusevski's goal against who was that against? When he flicked on the ball when we won that game 3-0 or 3-1.
Well, Decky put the cross in for Dane to score that game, didn't he?
Yeah, so there was that was that one in that goal. But then Dane Scarlett came on in the 90th minute recently, and he only had literally one touch of the ball, and it was down the right hand side, and he kind of flicked the ball over his head, and and Kulusevski then took it on a mazy run. And let me know in the chat, guys. Who was that? Was it?
Yeah, that scored, and Kulu scored. That was against Ipswich. Why?
Ipswich. That's it. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah. That was a flick on. So he got an assist. I watched him play. He's only 20, Sean. I watched him play as a 17-year-old, and when you watch, and I was actually up at the ground watching it for this one, and when you get 22 players on the field. And this 17-year-old, he just stood out amongst the whole 22. You can get one standout. It was him. I've had lots of fans, because Lancashire scored 23 league goals last year, over 30 with all the cup games. He stepped up in a pecking order. And Lancashire does press. I think getting sent off against Galatasaray, even though he scored, didn't do him no favours, right? But Scarlett, he's going to have a career. I think he's a natural finisher. He also scored that goal Harry Kane's last game against Shakhtar Donetsk 5-1. Haynes scored 4, and Scarlett done the swivel in the box and put the ball in the next. Nice goal. It was a nice goal.
Yeah, I like him. I think that.
But I don't know if, look, with a lot of these kids, they're not all going to get in the first team. But like then if you run an academy like Chelsea and you can make loads of money on the players, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with that?
It's something about Tottenham's academy that most of these players don't do well on loan, right? Whereas Chelsea's young players, Chelsea went out, part of that 1.5 billion they spent a fortune on going and gobbling up 30 players that were like between 17 and 20, and then loaned a load of them out around Europe, and most of them have kicked on. Most of them, like they like, as much as I disagree.
Well, we've got better quality academy players now. That's why they are doing well in line. That's why Keeley's had something like 13 on 14 clean sheets at Orient, right?
Yeah, but Orient's League One. I know. League One, you know. That's the problem. I want to see some of these players go on loan. I mean, obviously, Boskovic is doing it in the Belgium league, the Belgium league, which is nice, and that's fine. Like I like that, right? But I'd like to see. I really want to see Scott Munn show some value. And the one thing that I know that he is knowledgeable on is the City Football Group's multi-club ownership model. I don't know what's stopping us from having a partnership with Nordjylland or a team that's playing in Norway or Iceland or Japan. Like I don't know why we're not on board that. Maybe it's because there really is truth to the rumor that he is, seeking it. I know he's got his hotel he wants to do and all that stuff and needs the money for that. But I don't necessarily think that a multi-club ownership has to be the first instance. You can just have an agreement of transference of value as a feeder club, like the old school feeder clubs that didn't require ownership structures, that just required like a gentleman's agreement that we'll give you what we don't, what we'd like you to develop, and we'll get first.
Well, we were supposed to have an old school agreement with Ajax, weren't we?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but those things don't seem to be there anymore. And it's nice that you have relationships with Leyton Orient. It's nice that you had the relationship with Plymouth, but I want to see there's value to getting these guys out on. As I said, acclimation, right? It's a beautiful thing when it works. If you're 18 years old, like Troy Parrott, right? Troy Parrott, never going to go anywhere at Tottenham. You send him out to Holland and he's killing it. Now, part of that for me is because he's clearly got a bit about him where he can go and live in a different country. It changes you, man. I've done it so many times in my life. It's like fight or flight. When I left the UK, I went to Thailand. I lived in Thailand for 6 months, and I went there to do Thai boxing. Like I was did a 6-month training camp, and then I was on the undercard of some local fights, and I loved it. And then after that, I went to Australia, and just got really lucky with the people that I meet. They plugged me into their social life, and I landed a job with Google, and it was just seamless and brilliant, and everything about it was brilliant. And I thought it was going to be easy. And then when the opportunity came up for me to move to New York, to America, I had the choice of New York, California, or Texas, or Dallas, and I chose New York. And I thought it would be exactly the same thing. I thought, if it's easy in Australia, it's going to be. Yeah, I thought but it wasn't the same. Like New York people don't give no disrespect to New Yorkers. I love it. I love them all. But that's like it's a feisty environment where everyone's crawling over everybody else to get the sale. It's a different energy, and they don't care about you. Australian people welcome me in New York. You had to kind of just like figure it out for yourself, and it wasn't as nice and it wasn't as easy. But I tell you what, I learned more from the New York experience than I did from the Australia one, because you had to like handle it yourself. And I think that Troy Parrott is probably so much better off for having the opportunity to go and do it in a different country, right? Because everything's different. You don't speak the language. You don't know the culture. You don't, even know the currency. And there's so many more things. And if you figure it out and you have success when you do that stuff, then you're going to be better off. And if he comes back to the UK, or if he goes on, he'll be better off for it. Going 5 miles down the east side of London, playing League One football, I don't think it's the same. Not just because the quality of the football's not the same, but just I think that the experience isn't quite the same either.
I think this is going to be a common theme with most of the wealthier Premier League clubs, where players will leave them and go abroad because they're all being snapped up. As soon as someone's got talent, scouts are on them, having a look at them, As soon as they think they're worthwhile picking up, they go and get them. And then they've got all their academy teams, like ours has grown ever so well. Even the under 18s, they're in one cup final. I think the under 17s or whatever, they've got to a cup final. And then they're all parked basically. Whereas years ago they would be developing in their teams, they're all getting taken, and the other clubs that need the money are taking the money for these kids, and so they're all getting parked in academies, and the pathway through to them, there is, look, like you alluded to, managers are at risk at playing youngsters. These youngsters got to be ready, and if you're coming in to do a trial at a club, you've got one audition to prove you're right. Otherwise, you're not being invited back. And it's hard, but it's the way it is, And like these kids, I mean, there's some real talent out there, but you're stepping. Even those that have come in and said when they've gotten to the first team at Spurs and given games, the pace. They just struggled with the pace for the first few games, and if you were sitting pitch side at Spurs, you'd really see how pace it is, rather than where I'm high up, So
do you know if there's we all know that the Italian league and the Spanish league are slower and more technical than the Premier League, right? The Premier League's more fast, ferocious, a bit more brutal. As someone was just saying, Mauler was just saying here, in the Dutch, the Belgium, and the Scandi leagues, you're allowed to play. Lower English leagues, you just get kicked around. Completely agree. Do you know, and anyone in the chat who does, let us know, is there a league that is obviously of a lower standard than the Premier League, but where the football, the speed, the energy, the whatever, like the ingredients are like an emulation of the of the Premier League, just at a lower level, so that there's like a recipe, there's a thought process, rather than if we were talking about Scott Munn saying to Daniel Levy, let's try and create a relationship with a feeder club. Okay, where should we do that? Well, what's the mandate here? Are we looking to try and identify the gems that are coming out of like Ethiopia? If so, cool, but maybe that doesn't require a club in Ethiopia or Africa. Maybe that requires more of like a footballing academy where you can invest and generate and give the first dibs to Tottenham. Maybe, but if you're looking for a place to be able to develop your youth, then just any old club in any old league probably is stupid, right? Whereas if you could find a league that is of a lower standard but professional, and also the style of football is more similar to the Premier League in as much as the pace of the game, then there's more of a relevance and more of a value. There's no point in like sending a 17-year-old on loan to a second division Italian club, because they might learn and they might do well over there, but they're not going to come back and the pace is different, right? The style's different. So you're not like, unless the plan is to sell them. If you're looking for players to come back and be part of our first team, you need a league and a club that plays similar versions of football. And it's not easy, but I'm sure it's not that difficult. I'm sure it's also not impossible to figure out. I
think the Belgium and French leagues would be a good place for young players' development. If you want them to go a bit faster, where they run around a lunatics, go to the J League or the K or the Korean League or the Japanese League.
Is that? I don't know those leagues. Are they faster? Are they?
Well, I'd say Yang Min Hook, he's no slouch. I mean, like he is fast. I mean, and when you see him, it may be because maybe I'm deceiving myself on the stature of players. So maybe they just look faster. You know what I mean? Because, but I mean, I don't know any other league out there that is. I wouldn't know about Africa and all that.
Yeah, I don't know.
I also think climate plays a big part to it. While we have pace in that league, because even in South America, it's in them games, it's sort of like fast, slow, fast, slow. They strike like cobras and they have a breather strike because it's so hot. I should imagine it's the same in the Middle East. I mean, in the league normally finishes in Japan and Korea. I think the league finishes in February or something, because of that's more monsoon reason why. You've been down here, when the monsoon season is. So,
yeah. Well, I know in Sweden,
their season runs late, starts late because the winter's later than ours.
Well, I think they have like a complete break. I think they stop in like November or December. I think they don't start. I think it's like
because when Elfsborg played us, their league wasn't even started.
Yeah, I think they do half the season, in the autumn, and then when it's high winter or low winter, whatever you want to call it, I think they have like a couple of months off. I mean, I'm not sure if that's true or not, to be honest, but I'm pretty sure. I remember people going, Bergvall is a Swedish international, and then when you looked under the hood of that, it was like, well, actually, he played for Sweden when he was 16 or whatever. He played for them. Yeah, it was their first team, but he played in like the January friendlies, and that is like a time when they bleed all of the kids because it's in this like mid-season break. That's because of weather,
In Saudi and that, I mean, they like people don't get the illusion like during the World Cup in Qatar when they had one air-conditioned stadiums. They haven't really got them all yet. They probably will build them, known as Saudis, but they play a lot of their games in the evening because it's 33 to 40 degrees. You can't run around. I can't walk in 40 degrees, let alone running it. You know what I mean? Without breaking.
I've experienced Melbourne
humidity.
Yeah. No, when I lived in Melbourne, there was a day in Melbourne when it was 44 degrees centigrade, and I went downstairs for a ciggy, and I stepped outside, and there was like a wind tunnel through the skyscrapers, and it was like standing behind the back of a bus.
Yeah, hairdryer on you.
It was a hairdryer on you, and you're like, wow, it's like, it just took your breath away. I've never known heat like it, dry heat as well. It was wild, So yeah, I can only imagine what it's like in Saudi Arabia, or Dubai or something like that. Someone was saying, Shane here saying the Scottish League would be a good thing. Do you know would there be value there? Maybe in like getting a relationship with a team in like the Scottish First Division?
No, I mean I know Dorrington's there, isn't he? With Edinburgh, or Aberdeen.
I don't know. Yeah. What about Ireland?
Was it
like this Mason Elliott coming up, right? Who looks incredible, apparently.
Yeah. I don't know what the standard of the Irish League is. I think Sean was saying the other day the pitches over there are awful, unlike their Gaelic football, which is like the pitches are really good for that. But Dave Harris was saying like
not the same.
He was complaining about the pitches, so not good. Yeah, I mean, I still think the Championship is a good grounding for players. I think I think there weren't many Spurs fans who didn't think that Archie Gray would step up before Bergvall because of his grounding in the ECL. I mean, we all sort of said that. It's one, I mean, he didn't have to be a brain surgeon to work that out, but I mean, it just looked obvious. You thought, well, he's done well. He's had 30-odd games at fullback, 3 as a number 10. He's played in midfield and bossed Chelsea in the cup game he played. And you're thinking like, yeah.
Is this Archie Gray?
Yeah, people are talking. You think people can talk about this player for 2 years. He's either third player of the season there if Somerville wasn't or someone else wasn't in that league, or he's second or third player of the season there. And all that. You think, well, he's done this, and like no one's come in for him. And then Brentford went in for him. They were faffing about over the money, and Spurs went in and went bang. Probably, I don't think it was 45 mil like it's rumoured. We'll know when the accounts are released, but I think it was more 35, probably with add-ons, and an absolute steal. I mean, him and Bergvall, and Gray, they're all looking 60 mil players now, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, how much? Like, if someone wanted Bergvall now, 10 million euros it cost us. You wouldn't sell him for less than. I mean, I wouldn't personally sell him for less than 50.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, just because like you don't know what you've got yet, but what you know is potentially special. Potentially special. And with Archie Gray, you pumped up a lot of money for him, but a lot of that is English tax as well. Yeah. But Tottenham are in a really good position now with our homegrown. I think I'm pretty sure that we don't need. That's why we can
not for Europe, though. Not for Europe.
Not for Europe. Yeah, that's true. That's true. But we might not be in Europe next year.
And look, and what's the point? I mean, you kept Noel John, not let him go. He'd have been qualified because he'd been one of 4. We've only got Whiteman and Austin. Austin got that new 5-year contract, so they're keeping him. But they're the only 2 that did the 3 years at the academy that qualified for Europa League. Our other players haven't, right? So that's why we're penalised. But then you don't want to bring in 2 players that make up those numbers, so you can have another 2 in the Europa League if the manager don't want them in the squad in the first place or don't fancy them. What's the point?
I think that
isn't a squad of 23 big enough? Let's be fair. For the surely that squad.
I don't know if it is. I don't know if it is to play 2 games a week, right? You just look at this. It's not just Tottenham.
It's 25 for the league, 23 for the Europa League.
Yeah, but right, the rules around homegrown are stricter for, like you say correctly. I think they're overly strict, overly restrictive, especially when you're English and you have to do this homegrown tax thing, which doesn't really exist in other leagues, not to the same level. And so I think it's like cost prohibitive, and it suits the wealthier teams than the or the teams that are set up with decent youth talent that are emerging, that you don't have to buy, but you can actually develop. And let's be honest, most of the players that Tottenham have that are young, that are talented, are actually purchased, not developed. And then you go, well, okay, if you're playing in the Premier League, you've got 38 games a season, right? But if under the new format, you've got 46 if you qualify for Europe. That's an extra 8, which 8 into 38 is about 24%, right? So 24% more games, making you twice a week. If you're also
someone domestic cup games, home
well, exactly, right. But if you're good enough to qualify for Europe, then you would hope that you're probably good enough also to go a little bit deeper into the cups as well. So you can go from like Tottenham 41 games or whatever it was last season. This season, Tottenham could end up with the second highest amount of games played in.
This is why I don't have no fear about us having an American football franchise, because they play 17 games a season. So if 9 of them are football games were at home, like you've alluded to on the games there, Sean, you got 9 home games, you'd have American football. Some fans would scream, oh, it's American football taking over our stadium. But then you're looking at 3 times as many football games being played. 3 times as many. Because if you're saying 48, 50 or progressing further, you're playing.
If you qualify,
football's always going to be the main thing. Whatever, I've got no fear about that.
Yeah, but if you qualify for Europe, then you're probably also good enough to expect to have a decent-ish run in most of the cups. So you're at least 12, 13, 14, maybe 15, and if you do well, then a lot more games, more than. So you're playing almost like 50%, maybe 40% as many more games than you are if you're not in Europe and just playing in the cup at the domestic cups, right? And then when so that's like a lot more football twice a week. And then if you have injuries, which I still think is on some level down to the fact that we have an artificial pitch underneath the ground. I know that's a crazy conspiracy theory, but I do genuinely believe that second.
They don't connect the two. You go and watch the video. They don't connect. They're totally separate.
I know they're separate, but the fact is that you don't have 10 foot of grass underneath the grass pitch, right? You have 2 foot of grass that gets shifted away, and then another, and it's all mechanics after that.
There's 3 long trays that hold 3,000 tons of each weigh 3,000 tons, and on runners, you watch the video. There's 3 trays, they're lengthy trays, and they have to be split because they have to mix. The twin towers are steel.
I'm just saying though that it might be minimal, but like you've heard American footballers that have complained about the pitch at the White Hart Lane Stadium. I don't know. It's a relevant point.
I envisage a time when, look, in Europa League you're allowed 12 subs. You're only allowed 9 in the Premier League. They should increase the substitutes, and also perhaps Levy won't like it. Increase the squads to 30 players, because if players are getting very injured all this time, then you need to increase the squads. And if you're playing 50 to 60 games or 50 odd games, if you've got a squad of 25, they're virtually getting 2 games. They're virtually getting 25 games each, right?
2 games. Yeah, exactly. And that's if you have a squad where you don't have the traditional kind of like first team squad player thing. If you're trying to be this, this everyone's a squad, everyone's playing and participating, then you have to have the ability to not only identify the right players but attract them, pay them the money, etc. All of that stuff is a drain on the resources, and it also requires excellence in your processes. And for me, I think that it's restrictive. If you just look. It's not just Tottenham. Look at Newcastle. Look at Brighton. Look at the teams who qualify for the Champions League. They only do it in a season when they don't have Europe. The next season they play in the Champions League, and they do shit in the league. And it's not just the Champions League, Europa League as well. And so then they.
Sean, can I just stop you a second? I mean, Jose's just messaged me on the phone. Where's the link for Sean's? You want to give Jose the link?
You can come on, mate, but we've been going for 2 hours, so we won't be going for too much longer, buddy. But it's in the.
Someone's got some serious drinking to do.
You know what? I would do, but there's no. I haven't got any.
Ain't got any beer in.
No, I haven't. I've got vodka. I just haven't got any. I haven't got any mixer.
Don't drink it, me.
If someone can Uber Eats me a bottle of lemonade around, then I'm good. Here you go. Jose. Hope you're healthy, Les known. Appreciate you, mate. Appreciate you, buddy. So yeah, the point I was making was, and by the way, it's not just LTL. Anyone wants to pop on for the last sort of 10, 15 minutes, no worries. The point I'm making is like it's not
players' welfare.
Newcastle did it. Aston Villa, like a lot of these teams. I mean, Aston Villa they're only 3 points off the Champions League spots right now, and they're in the quarterfinals of the Cup. So Aston Villa are doing very well. But generally speaking, the teams that qualify for the Champions League that don't usually qualify, they qualify in seasons when they don't have Europe, and then the next season when they do have Europe, they do worse in the league, right? And it's because it's difficult to juggle the extra games with the squad systems and all that stuff. And so it's not easy.
And they also, and you find the most successful teams, they suffer with injuries. If you look when Poch was at Southampton, he brought the press there. They were all right. They got the Christmas, got injuries, they fell away. Comes to Spurs, we're fine. We had the youngest team in the Premier League. First couple of seasons were okay. Then Kane and Son started picking up these injuries. You look what happened to Klopp at Liverpool. First couple of seasons, young side, winning things. They lost their first couple of trophies, the finals they were in. Then they started getting injuries. You look what's happened to Man City now. There definitely seems to be something with the pace of the game that is contributing to these injuries. Mind you, the other thing that throws it is they're not all hamstring injuries, are they? They're quad injuries, ankle injuries, as well. I mean,
generally speaking, muscle injuries, right? Which is usually born out of the team. By the way, we've got Jose. Welcome to the stream. I've just found. I thought this was dead and empty because I usually don't crush my cans if there's juice in it, but there's actually 3/4 of a can. So I'm good. I'm loaded. We've got at least one glass worth of time left.
Okay, all right.
How are you, Jose? Good to see you, mate.
And you, Sean. Nice to see you back. Hello, Adrian. How are you?
We're in a very chilled chat in here, Jose. We're very chilled out here.
Yeah, it's nice little chat. Nice little chat.
Yeah, no, I've been doing things, cleaning up and stuff like that whilst listening, and then going back to cleaning up. And tomorrow's the start of another week, and got to get ready for work and everything. But
what do you do for work, Jose?
Sorry, I'm a head of service for a local authority.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool.
So,
in what department? What department's local authority? Like housing?
No. I work in environment.
Environment. Okay, cool. Nice.
Under the environment banner.
Right.
For my sins.
Right.
But yeah, I'm be honest with you guys. I've been listening to you and all that, and I have.
Here we go. Hey, wait. Adrian, he's about to say, I've never heard a load of fucking bollocks in my entire life.
No, all I've got to say.
If bullshit could fly, you two would have your own air force. Right?
No, all I was going to say is that I've enjoyed having a relaxing week with no football. Honestly, I really have. It's just been relaxing with no football. And then the other thing is that now that football, as per all the football in the world, gets taken and bought by new streaming services and that, it meant that the Nations League tonight, you couldn't watch it. Well, not on telly anyway. You can do it if you do streams and stuff like that. Well, Spain were playing tonight. So, but anyway, I'm glad there's no football at the moment. But it's good to hear your points of view on the players that you'd like to have, the clubs, your lists and stuff like that. The only thing I will say is it's great to have lists and stuff like that, but will we go out and get some players? And I think that's all going to be dependent on where we finish in the league, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, it will be. Yeah, because players want European football, or they want to be compensated. So yeah. Oh shit! And you couldn't stream it. I'm just looking for if Sean takes over. I'm just going to give you a link, Jose.
No. The game's finished, mate. I know what the score is. The game's finished. Spain have won 5-4 on penalties, so I know what the score is at the end.
Do you know what? I'm bringing back my my NordVPN subscription. I was given a NordVPN sponsor, like a what would you call it? Like a I forget the phrase. That they've asked me to basically promote NordVPN. What is the phrase here? What am I talking about? Like a You know what I'm saying? Anyway, NordVPN, right? You can. I
Right,
haven't got the link. I haven't got the site. I'm bringing it back as of tomorrow because I was sort of employed to start promoting them, and then obviously I had to go AWOL. But look, I can't. I'm going to say this right now. This isn't going to count as one of my eight things where I've got to promote them. But guys, there's plenty of reasons why you need a VPN. If I knew 4 years ago when my problem started, what I know now regarding cybersecurity, then and having had if I put a VPN in place, then I wouldn't be going through what I'm going through. If you run a small business from your home and your home network, if you're doing a YouTube channel, if you're doing whatever you're doing, then like there's three types of people, three types of home networks, right? One is one that's compromised, like mine is. Two is one that's compromised and you just don't realize it yet. And three is that if you don't have a VPN as part of a well-rounded cybersecurity defense, then it's only a matter of time until you will be. The rules with regards cyber are insane. What's happening with AI is insane. They can emulate, voice clone your, and just pretend to be you through impersonation techniques. It's madness. VPNs can stop all of that because you can tunnel from your point A to point B, and no one can sniff your traffic out. Not hackers, not your ISPs, none of that stuff. So if you don't have a VPN, then for the love of God, get one. And nordvpn.com/Spurs Talk Show is a way where you can get 4 months extra free. And on top of that, even if you don't care about the cybersecurity thing, then the cost of doing content, the cost of watching is, to Jose's perspective, Jose's point, the cost of getting access to games is incredibly expensive in the UK, right? The idea that you used to pay 40 quid a month or whatever it was to Sky and you had access to all of it, Champions League, Europa League, Premier League, whatever you wanted, it was all there. And then suddenly there was like, let's expand the competition, right? Let's allow BT to come in. All that happened was that you ended up having to pay twice as much so that you could access one thing on one thing and another on another. You know that you can do that differently if you have a VPN. You can reposition yourself to Slovenia or to Ireland or to America or whatever it is. And then you can set yourself up with an account at Peacock or any of these other Satanta type sports things, and you can get access. And you can't do that without a VPN. And look, even those VPNs that are like the kind of old school ones, the most popular ones, most of the time those streaming services have blacklisted those IP addresses associated with VPNs. NordVPN has more IP addresses that are unknown to the streaming services than anyone else. So I'm not promoting kind of like misdirected streaming, but if you want that, then the amount of money you spend on a VPN, you would save in the amount of money you're spending on accessing content in areas that it's a lot cheaper to do so. So nordvpn.com/Spurs Talk Show. The link will be in the description afterwards. If you haven't got one, get one. It will help you out in a million different ways.
Yeah, I use Bitdefender and I use it with VPN, the Bitdefender VPN as well. Excellent. All I'd say to people out there, look, when it comes to, it's like these wallets on your phone. I mean, I'm not comfortable with wallets on the phone, right? I don't buy with on the phone. I don't use my phone. I mean, I've got a Freedom Pass, so it doesn't really matter. I don't keep any bank details.
Can you pay for stuff with your Freedom Pass?
No, I've got a credit card. I mean, what's the difference? Use the card, right? I mean, and I don't keep any bank details I've got password manager on the laptop here as well and all that. But I mean, I'd be inconvenienced if someone cloned me like I've been cloned on Facebook and people have attacked me before and things like that. And Facebook did nothing about it, so I just let it ride because people know me, they know who I am. They know the real account against any fraudulent ones.
Mate, I'm not talking about your social account cloning.
Yeah, no.
I'm talking about about the ability for these geezers to be able to phone up your bank, and when the bank says, "Repeat after me, my voice is my password," and then they just press play, and then your voice says the same thing, and they can get through. Like it's trouble. The amount of stuff that I am going through, you have absolutely no idea how terribly dangerous and life-altering it can be. And if I'd known 5 years ago that a VPN cuts 90% of that stuff out, it's not enough for me. I'm getting targeted. I need more than a VPN, but most of you are not getting targeted. So just get a VPN. You can get anyone you want, but like I say, if you do me a favor, go to nordvpn.com/Spurs Talk Show, and I really appreciate it.
Banks and that are responsible for your money, and if you expose a weakness and they're weak, they're also, you may have grounds for compensation if you've lost considerable amounts of money, because like that's their system.
They don't compensate you though when hackers put malware in all of your clients' websites. They don't compensate you when you've lost access to accounts that had certain login details, and so they don't compensate you for the things that they're not directly responsible for, even though that they are indirectly very much because of their shitty out of date. Like, you know what, the word two-factor authentication, right? That's the new, or not the new thing. That's the kind of standards. Like, don't just have a password, get a text message to your phone. Do you know the easiest thing to hack is a phone number? It's ridiculous. And so once you have someone's phone number, you can intercept their text messages. And ultimately, like, banks are the most out of date, archaic organizations when it comes to cybersecurity. And they are the people that have your future ability to pay your bills, right? So like those organizations need to up their game. And that's also something you're going to find out on Sean Butler TV. I mentioned earlier, you might see more like conspiracy content. What you're also going to find, guys, is cybersecurity lessons. Learn from the bozo that got his life ruined, and you might avoid what I'm going through. So dial into Sean Butler TV. Also get over to Spurs Diehards TV and LTEL Cockerel. I haven't got the links, boys, and I can't even get them up because I paused because I haven't got I'm on the iPad. But if you can publish your links in the private chat, then I'll post them in the chat for you.
Oh, they can find me on XCOM under the name here at Adrian_Stroker. But then you'll find links to everything else if you're interested.
Yeah.
But
let me ask you, Jose. We were talking earlier about a whole bunch of players, and obviously, it is early. It is early in the season or early in the summer to be able to going after these sorts of names. But Jose, if you had £150 million, how many players do you like? Let's forget about players leaving. Imagine the squad stays as it is, and then the players that you don't like just get relegated to the youth team, just for argument's sake. So forget about raising money. I'm going to give you 110 million to spend. How many players do you think we need? In what positions? And then realistically throw that money at certain players. And if realistically, don't tell me Gyökeres for 20 million, because that's not happening. If you think we can get Gyökeres, that's 100 million. So like that's play the game with reason, and let's see where you want to see us spend it.
Right. So how much have I got to spend? 150 million.
No, 100. Let's go 120.
120, and can this be monetized, so to speak?
Amortized, but amortized is like, because if you amortize, just remember that like if you're playing the amortized game, then we're still amortizing Solanke, we're still amortizing the players that came in before, right? So forget about all that. Just imagine that the full amount of the transfer for the player comes out of the budget, and it's just imagine that there's no amortization and there's no just who you want. It's going to cost you this much. Do you want a striker, a DM, a left back, a left side centre back? What do you want? How much are you going to spend?
What I want and what I want, we haven't got enough to spend on. I think that the squad's weak, and I have done. I don't think the squad is as strong as what people have made out it to be. I think we definitely need cover on the left side of defence, whether it be a left centre half or left back, or someone that can do both positions. I think we need cover there. I definitely think we need at least another 2 midfielders. We need to get rid of some and get another 2 midfielders in. And across the front line, I'd say we're probably too shy across the front line as well.
A striker and a winger.
And getting rid, for me, and getting rid of some of the stuff that we've got up front already, or some of the options that we have up front, which just really shows this season and showed last season, just not good enough. If you want to elevate us, they're just not good enough. I think the goalkeeping department, we've done well in bringing in Kinski. I think we've got 3 competent keepers now at the club. Obviously, there's 2 of them that are battling for the second and third spot, but I think we've got competent keepers. Centre halves, I suppose, it all depends on what happens with Romero as well. And it all happens with, if Romero does go, are we counting Vuskovic as a player that's going to come into our squad? So there's a lot of variables that you've got to take on board. As for players out there, all these players out there. There are loads and loads of players. As for putting my finger and putting the pin on the donkey, so to speak,
Yeah.
I don't know whether I can, because
Okay, well, look, maybe not names. How about this?
Players are costing more, Sean. Players are costing more. Even the young ones are costing a lot more. You know,
they are.
Where you
How
can
about
nick a
this?
player.
Rather than names, then, Jose, how about just like a division of the budget? What's the priority? Number one, most important signing first out the trap.
For me, I'd say the left-hand side of defence, only because I think we've got more than enough cover there, more so than what we've got in midfield and attack, because we've got a lot of what I call waste in midfield and attack. So I'd cover the left-hand side of defence first, if possible. That's what I'd look at doing.
What, a centre back and like a hybrid, like a David Hancock?
Someone who can play left-sided centre back, and probably can play left back as well. So then your right side options become Porro and Spence, and the left becomes a Doggy and somebody, and you can obviously use Spence there as well. But then also becomes cover for Van der Ven.
Yeah.
Although I think Danso can play equally.
I like Danso. I think Danso's been a really cool bit of business. I think he's really good.
VDV played left back for Holland recently.
Yeah, Danso's shown me that he can play left or right side of defence. He showed me that this season already played for Tottenham.
You could almost make the argument, Jose and Adrian, that with Jed Spence, Udogie, and Mickey Van der Ven being able to play in those positions, in the left back position, that you don't necessarily need a hybrid left-sided defender. That you just need someone, because the drop off without VDV in the centre back spot is massive, right? But if VDV's fit and Jed Spence is fit and Udogie's fit, then you've got three players there that can do that job on the left back. And then so you really, I'd almost make the argument that a left-sided centre back is more like a just someone that's just quality in that role, that's left-footed, like a Branthwaite, like a Hincapi, someone like that, right, is more important than someone like a Ait Nouri, who's a specific left back, and that you could obviously like a Hanko can do a bit of both, so that's fine with me. But like if you have to pick a specialist player, for me, I think the centre back is more important than the left back. Did you agree?
Yeah, you could look at it like that. But then who? If you're going to look at it like that, then who's your left back and who's your right back at the club?
Udogie and Porro and Jed Spence can do a bit of both, and
Drake can do a bit of both,
and then Van der Ven's a bit of both. Yeah.
Okay. Because if Ben Davies hangs around, he can also do a bit of both. You know. I know it's not ideal. Obviously, in an ideal world, you have an Ait Nouri or a Robertson or Robert Robinson, and also enough money to go and get a. If you went and got a Piero Hincapi though, he can do left back and he can do both. Yeah, and he's quality. He's quality.
Yeah, he's good. And he's 24. I think he's about 24 now.
I think he's 23 actually. I think he's because he snuck into my under 23 list.
He's still at Leverkusen. Is Jonathan Tarr still there?
What's he cost?
Hincapi will cost you 50 million. I'm not sure of his contract actually. His contract might be coming up. Let me have a look. Let me see.
Jose, I was saying earlier, I don't know if you called it, but I said like Vlahovic is down to the last year of his contract in the summer, and Moani's keeping him out of the Juventus team. So they want to sell him 25, 30 mil, probably 30 mil. You got Paratici.
You like Vlahovic, Adrian, because you've spoken about him for a year, maybe longer than you said. But in all honesty, when I've seen him play for his mate,
could come in and back up Gray and Berryvale because he's out of favour now at Milan, and so you could get him in for 30 mil. That's 60 mil. You got money for your expensive centre back or left back then.
Yeah, but Vlahovic for me though, Adrian, I've watched him play for his nation and for Juve, and he hasn't looked the player that people keep describing to me that he is.
All right,
I'm just saying, with the eye test, watching him, I haven't seen what people are raving about him.
About who?
About Vlahovic.
Vlahovic.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you, Jose, mate. I'm sorry,
No,
Adrian.
numbers.
Yeah, no, but it doesn't matter. Like, it's just opinion, isn't it? Who are we? But like, I think that Vlahovic is a good player, but he's not. I think he is someone that you're going to pay. You know, like I think that you're going to pay over the top for someone like a Gibbs White because he's English and he's done well, right? But I think whatever you're going to like a Brennan Johnson, you're going to end up paying far more than he's really worth. And I think that Vlahovic doesn't come with the English tax, but comes with some hype tax. That I think that the best version of Vlahovic was the Fiorentina version, in my opinion.
2 or 3 years ago, possibly. Because in the last 12 months I've been watching, I haven't seen much to say to me, he's a good striker, we should go and get him. And the fact that they've got a player on loan that they've brought into the club on loan. Now, whether that changes or not, because Thiago Motta's now been sacked, got sacked yesterday. Now, the new manager coming in, whether that changes or not, I don't know. But you've got an on-loan player keeping a full-time employee outside.
He won't be on loan. He'll stay there permanently, I would imagine.
Yeah, but at the moment, he's on loan, is he? So
get your Delap in, guys, instead. You'd probably get him for 35, 40 mil when Ipswich are relegated.
Delap's going for more than that, mate. Already.
Yeah, Delap's going for more than that. I think Delap will be. You
could go to Porto for Omarodian. I mean, like 6'4", but he's 20. He's been smashing them in for Porto, I think.
Mate, I was looking at this. I was doing when I was building that list out yesterday on Y-Scout. The amount of players that I was sort of discovering. It's difficult to access the Portuguese league. I think you have to go on to like DAZN or something. You have to get some access to, again, VPNs maybe help you in that regard, guys. But like you have to go and pay for like a boxing subscription in order to access Portuguese football. Right? I'm not going to do that, but the amount of players that I stumbled across last night, and I spoke about a lot of them earlier on in brief part, that play in Portugal right now that are. Oh, he's gone. Where's he gone? There's some absolute like top talent in Portugal. But again, it's the problem. Like Portuguese players, how often do Portuguese players do really well in the Premier League? Wolves have got a good track record with them, but not sure. Let me just quickly ask you this, Adrian. The Irish Hotspurs obviously got home from his wherever he was travelling.
Yeah,
he's popped back in. He's saying Mark Gahey. I've never been a huge fan of Mark Gahey, and I'm happy to be wrong about this, but he's also right-footed, and I like a left. Call me old-fashioned, but I like a left-sided player to have a left foot.
So do I.
More than a right foot.
Yeah, just for balance. Yeah.
Yeah. You the same?
Yeah, Hincapi. I'd then go for Hincapi.
How much do you think Mark Gahey would you be okay with Mark Gahey? He'd be a club record signing. He'd be 70 million. I don't think he'd necessarily want 250 grand a week, but I think he'd be a club record signing. Would you be okay with him?
I would, but for that sort of money, I think you'd get Hincapi for a bit less.
Right. And you don't need the English. We've got enough English players now for our squad, right? So,
and look, I mean, this is another thing. I like David Henko. I know he's 27, 28, but
Henko is a fucking baller. Bro. Yeah. Anyone that doesn't watch Dutch football, just go on YouTube and check out David Henko's highlight reel. I know it's a highlight reel, but the geezer, he is the Milenkovic. Right, I said this the other day. Everyone was talking about Milenkovic. I was talking about Milenkovic. Dave was talking about Milenkovic. I know Johnny was talking about Milenkovic. I'm sure you were as well, Adrian. A lot of us loved Milenkovic when he was not playing for. He was playing. I think Benny Boy Kaufman as well. If he's still in the background, he was a big fan of Milenkovic. I remember that from last season. He ends up going to Forest, and now is thought of as one of the top centre backs in the game next to Murillo, who's also an absolute baller. But Milenkovic, the talent was obvious to people that pay attention and that talk about him. I promise you now, David Henko, I know he's getting on, but he is also his ability to read the game. He's a big, strapping, strong, tall lad. He's fantastic in the air. His ability to time his tackle is second to none. I do not understand why he has not got a better league, a better opportunity than where he's currently playing.
And what would he cost? 40 mil? 45 max?
Not even that. I think you can get David Henko for like 25 million probably.
And then if you bring him in, you'd be blocking Vaskovic because he plays on the left.
Yeah, but Vuskovic has got to prove it first, right? Like we don't know what we've got. You can't. I don't think that you can. I don't think that you can sit there. Not you, but anyone like the club. I don't think you can sit there and assume that because like these guys are ready. Because he's how old is he? Is he still 17 or is he? What is he 18 now?
He was 18 in February because he couldn't become a member of the squad in January because he was too young. 17.
Yeah, so like,
only officially
you're not necessarily blocking, mate. But like the one problem that Tottenham have, well, there's lots of problems that Tottenham have, but the one obvious problem that Tottenham have is the lack of experience across the park at the moment. And the players that we do have that have experience are usually the players that struggle in the big moments, right? So, like, I'm okay with the idea of bringing in a couple more senior players. And for me, I think that, you know, I think Hanko would absolutely thrive in the Premier League.
Yeah, I do as well.
I think
it'd be a very good choice. You'd have him for 4 years. These centre backs can play. I mean, Thiago and all at 35, 36, they're still playing, like, you know. So you could give him a 4 or 5 year contract, easy, or a 4 year contract with options at 28. You could give him a 3 year contract with options with an extension on the end of it, you know. And I just think if Romero's going, we've got enough cover on the right. I wouldn't throw Dragerson under the bus yet because what's happened is it's usually the fan base. Now that Danso's coming and done well, fans are saying, "Oh, we'll get rid of Dragerson," but it's not really a. You know, I think Dragerson's got something about him. In Romania, when I've seen him play, he's not. He's made mistakes. He's been sent off. Positional player, a bit suspect at times, but he's not slow. He's good in the air. So you're muted. You're muted, Sean. Is that? Hey.
I got booted out, and it's taken me bloody ages to get back in.
Yeah, that's pretty Sean.
Stop blaming it on Sean.
No, we were saying we both like David Hanko, and he'd fill 2 spots. But we don't see. We can speculate because we don't know what's happening with the centre back position at the club. I think David should go. David should go because we should look. But they might keep him. Rumours is West Brom want him, Jose. Yeah.
Can you hear me, guys?
I'm listening.
Yeah, and
can you hear me?
We don't know what's happening. Romero, he's down to 2 years on his contract. If he don't sign one, as much as I love Romero as a footballer, well, then you get rid of him. You sell him. If there's not many teams can afford to buy him, though.
I mean, Sean, I know that you probably follow leagues a lot more than I do, or you have information on other leagues more than I do. But Barcelona have been rumoured to be having to get rid of a load of their players that are coming through because they have to sell for the FFP or whatever. They have to sell homegrown talent that's come through their academy, and I think that there's rumours. Well, there's stuff in La Marca in Spain, and AS, which are the two bigger publications out in Spain, was saying that Barcelona have probably got to get rid of 8 to 10 of their players that are sitting just behind the first team. And I don't know. There was that striker a while ago, Roque. Was his name Roque or something?
Yeah, Vitor Roque. He's at Real Betis,
but he's on loan, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a good player. He's actually on my list. I've kept an eye on him. He does look. He's a bit of a bulldozer, but I get a little bit of Richarlison vibes with him. If I'm entirely honest, I'm not sure. Same with this guy. Apparently we sent scouts over to Holland this last couple of weeks to see that guy Igor Paschal, who's he's a striker, little fella, like 5'9", 5'10". I think he's more of a winger, if I'm honest. But he's got wonderful stats, really emerging, 24 years old, looks really good. He does look really good, but I get vibes of like Steven Bergwijn from him, you know. And again, it's always like, you know, when you look at a player, and I don't want this to sound, please don't take this the wrong way, but like anyone who's watching, but you know, generally speaking, when you get like, you hear people say, oh, I get vibes of this player, you know, when I look at this other guy, it's generally speaking, when you hear that, the color of the skin is usually the same, and the nationality is usually the same, right? And so like, if you're talking about a Brazilian guy and you think, oh, you vibe, you think he looks a little, plays a little bit, or feels a little bit like this guy. If he's black, he's usually going to be a black Brazilian player that you're kind of reminiscing on, right? And with Vitor Roque, I'm not saying that because he looks and acts and plays a little bit, or sort of has the same kind of the same sort of whatever the je ne sais quoi of Richarlison. I'm just saying I genuinely think Vitor Roque is a good player, but it doesn't matter whether he just reminds me of Richarlison. And the same with the guy Paschal. Not only does he look a little bit and come from the same place as Steven Bergwijn, but he plays a very similar way. And Steven Bergwijn didn't really smash it in the Premier League, right? He didn't really make it. So I don't want us to go down that path again. And it's always the concern with Dutch players that smash it out of the park in the Dutch league and then come over and then just fail in the Premier League because it's a different pace, different strength, different quality. What I would say, to go back to your Barcelona point, mate, is Barcelona always have financial problems and yet always find a way to get around it. Well, what did we hear about with regards who was the player? Dani Olmo, right? And like, oh, we can't even register that Dani Olmo. Oh, now you can. What's the gimme there? Oh yeah, we haven't even built our new stadium yet, but we've sold premium VIP boxes to financial institutions on a stadium that hasn't even been built yet, to be able to raise our current revenues enough to be able to get the other side of the 50-50 rule, which they have in Spain on the revenue generation, to be able to qualify for Dani Olmo to sign. So like, whilst I hear you, man, and whilst I'm sure the Spanish presses are probably more in tune with this than I am, Barcelona always seem to have a solution for their financial implications.
Yeah, but what they've done, they have done. But I think what's happened now with Barca is that they've all the thinking outside the box schemes that they had.
Are they running out of them? Are they?
They've run out of the box schemes. You know, it was giving up TV rights, image rights for the next 25 years.
Yeah,
they've done all that, everything already, and they've just run out.
Well, they might next they might do debenture seats. Buy your seat for your family for the next 100 years or something. Like, do debentures. Remember they were going to introduce debentures when Arsenal were thinking about building a new stadium before they built one. You know.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, there's a golf course. So I used to live in a place about a few miles away 7 years ago, and there was a golf course that was built like about I could walk through my back garden into it, but it was like it was the most expensive golf course that there is, and it still is to this day. The most expensive. It's called Queenswood, the most expensive golf course in England. But it's an immature golf course, right? So golf courses usually take like 50 years to become mature because the trees have to grow and all that stuff. But they were selling debentures to people like Michael Douglas and Catherine Zeta-Jones and all this stuff. And I would see limousines and like police vehicle escorts for like presidents driving down my road on the weekly when I lived down there, and they were selling these high caliber debentures for like $5 million for 10 years. The golf course, I'm pretty sure the golf course is bankrupt because, to your point, Jose, like eventually you run out of the options, right? You can't force it forever. At some point, the rubber has to meet the road, you know.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, it might be worth having. It might be worth looking that way to see what kind of players that they're talking about. It definitely ain't going to be Balde, Yamal, Pedri, Gavi. It's not going to be them type of players. It's going to be the youngsters that sit behind that crop of a similar age, but sit behind that crop that are just probably coming to warm the bench a game here and there, but are still in the Barcelona B team, so to speak.
But do you know of any of these players that are talented though? Because I don't know Barcelona.
No. I'm just saying. All I was saying out loud was that with this happening, would it be an idea for? I mean, scouts nowadays, whether you go to watch the player or you look at stats and that, they're all over this. So if there are players, then you would have thought there'd be quite a few clubs looking at. If there's going to be a fire sale there, you'd like to think there's a few clubs that have got their eyes on it. I don't know. Yeah. Some of these youngsters might want to.
We were looking at a young Barcelona striker about 19. I can't remember his name.
But you've got what you've got is that with there being no money in Spain as well. some of these youngsters might think the lure of a bit more money, they'll go abroad rather than staying in Spain. So I just don't know, because we're talking about youngsters, because everybody in the world has gone down this route where they're buying players under the age of 25. Some clubs are even younger. I mean, that's started. It's been like this for the last 2 years or so. And if you look at the proportion of players 25 and under that have been bought by clubs, the gap's gone like that. It's like the majority of players are really young. So, and people are talking about youth projects. It's not a youth project. Everybody's doing it. So,
how do you think? Not qualifying for Europe, I think we're going to win the Europa League. But how do you think not qualifying for Europe will affect our transfer business?
Well, look, I'm of the opinion that Tottenham can still muster about 100 million, 80 million.
Yeah, if you buy from the Premier League, it's not a problem, is it?
Yeah, but if Tottenham, and this is why, like, I just even if for what it's worth, like if Ange does win the Europa League, he will become the most successful manager at Tottenham in 40 odd years, right? And on that basis, I live life looking for meritocracy everywhere. I don't care if I don't like you, if I don't value your strategy. I don't care if you win us the Europa League. I am more than happy to give you an extra year to see what you do next year, right? If the club feels differently, then so be it. And if the manager's twerking for a different job, like he's alluded to already, like it doesn't matter to him, he'll get another job, whatever, all that stuff. But generally speaking, if Tottenham win the Europa League this year, with the situation that we find ourselves in with our stadium maturing and the 100% more events that we can put on, and with the kind of unique scenario with other clubs that are in financial, sort of dog shit situations, if you were to go and get qualified for the Champions League, then just look at the fact that Liverpool earned 102 million euros from the Champions League before the knockout stages even began. It's madness. And if Tottenham, just the last thing I'll say, Adrian, if Tottenham win the Europa League, the most we will earn, I think, is about 65 million. But the highest earning team in the Champions League, in the Europa League, was Manchester United. And they earned less at the halfway stage than the lowest performing team in the league stage of the Champions League, which was like Pilsner or whoever they are, right? So like, and that team only drew one game, lost the other 7. So like the difference between Champions League and Europa League is so ridiculously vast. It's ridiculous. It's insane. It's such a weird and stupid beneficiary system. It should be changed. It should be absolutely altered. But either way, if Tottenham were to go and win the Europa League and qualify for the Champions League, you could literally expect Daniel Levy to put his money where his mouth is and give whoever the manager is, and or otherwise, 200 million.
I don't know what the financial environment out there. I'm not going to get in a ring with you over that, Sean, because you know it so too well. But okay, on the fact that like we win the Europa League, we're in the Champions League. Do you think that speeds up Enoch selling up some of their shares? Do you think it improves the situation whereby someone comes in and buys the chunk of Enoch shares, knowing that we're in the Champions League, or do you think it makes no difference?
I think there's something's happening already, mate. Yeah. I genuinely believe something is happening.
Yeah, so does Jose.
I'm convinced that there's something in the background. Like I said it 1,000 times. The stuff that happened in December and November with regards to share issues, it made no sense. It was brushed under the carpet. No one asked any questions why it was that there was the announcement around a £12 million investment that didn't stand up to the things that came out later with regarding the share price issues. That looked like it was 30 million, but nobody in the media like went back and looked and asked for clarity on it. That's weird. The fact that the January transfer window behaved as it did, that was weird. The fact that there was the Mark Gahey transfer bid on the last day, was that just a smokescreen, or was that a demonstration of the sort of budgets that we can do? Because what happens if Crystal Palace legitimately went, yes, okay, we'll take your 75 million quid for Gahey, thanks very much. Then if that's the case, then Daniel Levy can't then turn around and go, "Oh, I didn't mean it," because he would look like an absolute clown. And also those things, like if they are as it was described, which was a faxed or an emailed offer, which is exactly what the way that the big media presented it as, then that's an offer that is legally binding. So there is that budget there. And then the Matisse Tell thing, by hook or by crook, whatever you think about Matisse Tell, we tried to sign him after we tried to sign Mark Gahey. So. And it was only because of his reluctance to sign that meant that it became a loan deal with a £10 million fee. So forget about whether the player's done well, because the money was there, right? The money was there for one or both or the other. And then with all that happened in the December and November thing, plus there was the non-disclosure agreements with Amanda Staveley, plus there was the whole relationship with PSG. For me, the argument that it's all just bullshit because it's season ticket renewal time. I think it's like ignorant people being naive. I'm pretty sure that there's something going on. Whether it materializes, that's obviously the devil's in the detail, and who knows? Right? I don't have any contact, so I don't know. But to me,
Rothschilds,
I think something is happening.
Rothschilds were brought in to find a buyer or an investor in the club, and they've been holding the ball for quite a while now. And there was rumours that Enoch, the family members, there were rumours that they want to sell. I don't know how true those rumours are. If not a large chunk of their shares, I mean, they own 70%. Levy owns the rest, and you've got 30,000 small shareholders. So if it was a complete buyer, it's all got to be made public. Offer's got to be made. It's got to go to all the shareholders, isn't it? But if Enoch decides just to sell a large chunk of their shares, they can sell them anyway. That hasn't got to go to anyone.
Yeah, a phased buyout makes the most sense for everyone. It makes the most sense. You haven't got to announce anything if there's no offer. If it's just a transition of share ownership between one party and another, then you don't have to include the new owners. The minority shareholders in the deal, right? So they haven't necessarily got to be made aware until it's a done deal. Whereas if there's a negotiation that is not accepted, excuse me, then you would have for the whole thing for the buyout.
You've got to put it to everyone.
You have to put it to everyone.
Yeah, and then
also it would have to be a disclosed valuation, which isn't clear. So I just think that and the fact that Daniel Levy wants to be a part of the club going forward, so he wants his sort of cake and eating it. To me, the most likely thing is that there is something, whether it materializes or not, who knows? But there is something that's happened. There's been some sort of legitimate conversations, and I think that a phased buyout that includes Daniel Levy staying at the club for a period of time is the most logical. Where I land on the logical sort of analysis is there.
Yeah, I think it is as well. But my concern about the season now, right? Let's say we didn't win the Europa League. The concern that I've got is that with what I've seen this season, and with the squad that we've got, which I thought we were short of in the summer anyway, we need to make changes. There's players that have got to leave this club, and we need to bring players in. And to me, it's what are we doing? Okay, we haven't qualified for Europe, but surely we need to build for the future, i.e. for next season and beyond.
Yeah.
And we've got to have, regardless of Europe or not, we've got to have a competitive squad. I don't think we've got a competitive squad at the moment. And I've said
how far off do you think we are there, mate?
In the summer, I thought we were 5 players short, just in the summer alone. I thought our squad was thin after the summer.
Where? Who specifically is not capable of stepping up when you need him? Where's the weaknesses?
I think we've got weaknesses up front and in midfield, and we need to strengthen defence. I think
everywhere basically.
Yeah, to me, we've got 6 or 7 people that can play, that are midfielders that can play the midfield positions.
And no specificity, right? No specifics.
No, and from them 6 or 7, cool, you could bin 3 of them straight away. And remember, this is all opinions, but I reckon there's 3 midfielders that we could bin straight away. And as for our attackers, Werner's going back anyway. But even without Werner, I'm suspect on some of our forward players as well. And
Brennan Johnson,
Richarlison.
I haven't brought this out for a while actually. Let me see if I can.
Werner, Bissouma. People can shoot me, but I'm going to say Papsar.
Seen Brennan Johnson warming up for the England reserves.
Mhm.
Geezer just trots around the pitch like an absolute. I don't know. I think Brennan Johnson can go. I completely agree with you on Richarlison, mate. I think Basuma, 100% agree with you. The goalkeeper situation.
Davis.
Ben Davies. I agree with you. We spoke about this earlier, Adrian. Like Ben Davies, I just think Ben Davies is even Dave. I love you, Dave, to pieces. I know you're watching, and I can see it. But you got your comment up there. I remember having debates with you a couple of years ago about Ben Davies when Eric Dyer was still at the house, and I was like, Eric Dyer, I'm fine with. But Ben Davies, I just think he's dependable. Ben, like you're always going to get a 7. He's like a 6 foot tall man living in a hobbit's home. Right, his ceiling. He's always banging his head on his own ceiling. You know what I mean? Like he plays to his absolute level, like the most he can get out of him. But he's just limited by what he can do. But he's not a problem. Like he's fine and he's happy. For me, I hate to say this, but I think a massive problem in Tottenham's squad is the fact that you've got Sonny, who I just don't think is capable anymore on a consistent level. And yet because of who he is and the money that he brings in, that he has these demands for minutes. And we saw it recently. It's not me. I'm the best version of myself I've ever been. That's like asking an alcoholic if they're drunk. Like, why are you doing that? You know, like no one, like he's nowhere near the best version of himself. And yet Ange plays him more minutes than he should get. And yet he's out in career saying, if you're wondering why I'm not playing as much, ask the manager. No, like the reason why you're not playing as much, yes, fine. The manager's asked the manager, but the manager's not going to tell you, not going to tell anyone on a public forum. It's because you passed your best, bro. But the fact is that when you play, we haven't got balance because you don't do what a winger needs to do in this system anymore, apart from in isolated moments. And you could throw exactly the same conversation towards Brennan Johnson, who is very, very, very good. Very, very good at being in the right place.
Johnson's got 14 goals and 3 assists. You can't ignore that. I mean, 9 league goals. Solanke, 11 goals. I think an 8 assists.
Yeah, but Johnson doesn't create goals. He doesn't create for others. He doesn't create for others. And when he's not at the back post to tap it in, what else does he do? And the answer is not a lot.
Oh, come on. It doesn't football. Come on. It also takes. Now, I was a big critic. I didn't want him at the club. I've warmed to him because I've seen some of his finishes and they've been quality finishes in the far corner. The goal against Coventry away in the League Cup when he scored that and all the pressure and the abuse he was taking was a quality. He's got quality finishes and it takes anticipation. Johnson.
Who?
Johnson.
I thought Jed Spence scored the goal in the League Cup.
No, he scored one. Johnson got the other one.
Right. Okay.
Shipped it over the keeper when he come. Right. Spence got one. Johnson got the other.
What do you do when you're not finishing someone else's dinner? What do you do? And the answer with Brennan Johnson, for the most part, is not a lot.
True. And then you've been to the games, you've watched them. Even when Werner's played, how many times do you see Johnson parked on one wing and Werner on the other, or Son, and they just stayed there? That's got to be down to Ange. That's Ange's fault.
Yeah, but in this system, those two players, left wing and right wing, are like essential. It's not like those two players, their work ethic on the ball and off the ball, their desire to drive at players. If they can't be bothered, or they're scared, or they've lost their confidence, or they're not fit enough, or whatever the reason is why they don't do what they need to do, then I'm sorry, it ain't good enough. And I think that Ange, you can at least give credit to Ange that he has demoted Johnson. When everyone else is fit, Johnson's no longer first choice, right? But
I think the winger should play more narrow. I think both
Sonny does. Sonny is with Sonny. It's a popularity contest. It's not a meritocracy. On merit, he is not good enough, consistently enough in this system.
I think if both of them played more narrow, you'd see Sonny more as a inside left. You'd see Johnson more as an outside right than inside right, and like Solanke would have a bit more support up front. Because
Solanke doesn't get fed by no one. Solanke doesn't get fed by no one. I'm going to ask you both a question, and people in the chat, right? Because I'm very cynical, right? With Sonny, right? Did Tottenham give Sonny a year's extension because they wanted to see how this season went? And they gave him the year's extension, and if it doesn't go well, you can get a fee for him this summer, because it'll be the last time you can get a fee for him? Or did they agree to give Sonny a year's extension because they wanted to bring all the Asian money in, the Asian market?
Right. So guys in the chat, answer that question with context, like give the specific reason why you're saying what you're saying, but at the same time, follow it up. Different question for you. 1, would you sell Sonny in the summer? 0, keep him. 1, sell Sonny. 0, keep him. But then if you want to answer Jose's question, then give write that down basically. I want to see that, because I would sell Sonny in a heartbeat this summer.
So 1 is to sell, 0 is to keep him.
Yeah.
My vote's going in.
I'm keeping him. And my reason is quite simple. He's the best finisher at the club with both feet. And we haven't got, and like you've alluded to, Jose, our forward line's pants. I mean, unless you've got Solanke and Johnson, they're the 3 main goal scorers. Have scored, 36 goals between them or something? Who else? Werner? Who else? No one's done it. Odegaard, couple assists. He looks a talent. Tell, I ain't paying that money for him unless I see a lot more from Tell in the last 10 games of the season, 12 if you count the Europa League games.
I'm not paying 60 million.
I'm not paying that for him.
No chance. I'll pay 25 million.
Nice goal he scored against Villa with the outside of his foot in the corner from that decky cross. But I mean, like, he's not. Nah. I mean, like, I don't.
I'd pay 30 million for Tell.
Would you?
I'm not paying 30
million. Pay that.
Well,
I wouldn't pay that now because, like, his numbers. I ain't watched him play in Germany. His numbers as a young kid are mental. Everyone raves about him. Everyone was raving about him before we tried to get him. When we didn't get him, fans were raving, "No, we didn't get Tell. We didn't get him." Then Levy gets the deal across the line. So they must. Well, they obviously know more than I do about Tell. But what I've seen.
We got a couple of ones. So we got a couple of ones on. So sell Sonny now. Sell Sonny now. LV3 is saying you think Levy will replace Son with another forward when they can get double figures. GA. Yeah, I think you could. I think that it's the most saturated position in football is a left winger, 100%. I think you can find absolute worldies for 25 million quid if you look hard enough. They're everywhere. So yes, I do. You have to sell him at some point. You have to get some money for him at some point, or you keep him and let him run down. But to me, the problem is not Sonny the player. To me, the problem is Sonny the brand, because I think he gets too many minutes. I think I'm happy. I would be more than happy for him to be a part of this squad, because I still think he offers potential. I still think he offers a lot of value when he's on. But like a Ben Davies, right? Ben Davies offers value. Sit him on the bench. Bring him in when you need him. He won't let you down. Do the same with Sonny, but Sonny comes with an expectation of minutes. He comes with a hell of a lot of baggage with regards the money that he brings in. But on the pitch, he doesn't do it anywhere near consistently enough. And the fact that he can go to career and essentially say, "I'm the best I've ever been. The reason I'm not playing enough is because of the manager." That to me is asking an alcoholic if they're drunk. They're obviously going to say no. There's no self-awareness.
You have the full transcript of what he actually said, because I know on the eye test, although he's got 11 goals, 11 assists, he hasn't looked like Sonny on the eye test when you go to games. He definitely hasn't. But he's still got the numbers. And this is the thing. Who else has got numbers?
Just quickly, is America playing? Is America playing right now? I thought they played on Friday.
They did. They got beat 1-0 against Panama.
Okay, so this is old news. Okay, cool. Yeah, look, I just think that at some point Sonny's not going to be here anymore. Like, I don't know. We have to get on board that. Like, and also like
everyone is saying he's the same Sonny. Not emo. It's just the fact that, like, my concern is where we're getting the goals from. Who else is going to score us goals?
Well, we've got goals everywhere, mate. Maddison scored goals this year. Brennan Johnson scored goals this year. Solanke scored goals this year. Pape Sarr, Lucas Bergman. We are. What we're not doing is taking advantage of the amount of opportunity. We've scored more goals than most. We could have scored 50% more goals if we had a team that was balanced and that the people were pulling their weight both on the ball and off it. And I look at Brennan Johnson and I look at Sonny and I say, Solanke isn't necessarily pulling his weight as much as he could with his output in terms of goals and GA and stuff, but his
He's
input,
done well for his first season.
his input is undeniable. I love Solanke. I've got no problems with him. Richarlison, different story. But Sonny, I'm sorry, you don't do enough off the ball, and on the ball, you're nowhere near where you were. Yes, you have flashes of it. Yes, you do, but it's not. It's nowhere near regular enough. And same with Brennan Johnson. Brilliant input. Brilliant output. Horrendous input. Horrendous. Sorry, Adrian, I don't disagree, but like,
do you think the club would sell him? They've activated the extension clause, so he's here next season unless the club sell him. So
what concerns me is
Impact Club.
No, he's not going to be willing to do that, and I think that the club are so scared of, like, even though they've gone and bought the next Sonny or whatever the next guy, they don't want to. What will happen is, right, whatever Sonny wants, Sonny will get, because what they don't want is Sonny to leave in acrimonious methodologies. They don't want Sonny to leave saying, I wanted to stay, but the club wanted rid of me, because that will piss off the next generation of Korean fans. And let's be honest, money talks, right? And so if the club don't yet have a love of Yang like they do Sonny, if the Korean fans don't have this loyalty towards Yang as they do to Sonny, then if Sonny leaves and says something that's like, well, I was happy and I was doing great things and I was physically fit, but the manager and the club fucked me over, or words to that effect, then the South Korean fans will not stay for Yang like they did for Sonny. So if Sonny wants to stay and Sonny says he wants to stay, I think Sonny stays. But I genuinely think that Sonny needs to be a little bit more self-aware, and just like James Maddison, for what it's worth, not to get off the topic, but James Maddison's another fucking idiot who turns around and says, I'm really happy with my output, but the team isn't doing well, which is another way of saying I'm good, the team is shit. And I think James Maddison's been a massive disappointment this year. Yes, he can get in the right position at the right time in a couple of moments here or there, but is James Maddison really pulling up trees? I don't think so.
He won't dig you out of the hole, but his numbers are good. Something like 10 goals and 8 assists.
Yeah, but that's what I was the same as Brennan Johnson. This system is set up is built in a way that affords certain players the ability to have output. But it's what you're doing off the ball. It's what you're doing on the ball. It's what you're doing when the ball isn't at your feet. It's what you're doing when, like I say, if Tottenham are going to have this model, you're going to concede 2 goals a game. Therefore, you need to score 3. And whilst we're scoring 2 goals a game, that's great. But we're languishing in 15th or 14th. Do more. We're creating enough to do a lot more than we are. And there's certain players that sit there and go, well, I've scored 10 goals, therefore I'm doing my job. Actually, you're not, because your job requires more than just output.
So do you think that
in the CONCACAF Nations League, Panama beat America on Thursday or whatever, 1-0 and knocked them out. And today, USA have just been beaten in the 3rd and 4th place playoff by Canada, 2-1.
Oh, fucking hell.
So that's the second loss. So they're out. They've not won the Nations League for their Nations League. The finals between Panama and somebody else. But yeah, Canada have just beaten America 2-1.
Wow. Would you take...
I knew that would give you some food for thought. What are you going to say about Poch?
Well, no, all I was going to say is, do you think that, 3 or 4
Dave's already put it in the chat. Poch out.
There you go. Yeah, Poch out. Poch out. Look at the Americans must be watching. The Americans are in the house. Good to see you, America. Yeah. Jonathan David scored the 2nd goal. There you go. Wowzers. No, I mean, he ain't
how good or bad do you think?
You know what? Though? American fans are probably not going to be quite as They won't care quite as much if Daniel Levy was to go and bring in Poch. I'd take Poch back in a heartbeat still. It's
just too much money. I think America have invested so much in Pochettino for the World Cup that to try and prize him away from there, it will cost a lot of money.
Yeah, it's not happening.
We'll give you Ange.
Get rid of the manager, right? You get rid of Ange tomorrow, right?
Tottenham won't be
12 mil to get rid of him. He's on $5 million contract. Then you've got to pay the wage, you amortise the wage on a new manager coming in. If it's 4 years, it might be another 40 mil, 52 mil. Then you pay compensation to the club you get the manager of. You could be talking about 60 mil. And Levy's not going nowhere near that, right? But what I was going to ask you was, do you think 3 or 4 new players could transform us?
Yeah, the right 3 or 4. For me, I think you only need 4 players. Forget about the outs just for a second. I think
A
you
9
need
holding midfielder.
a 9, a 9, a winger, a versatile winger like a Pedro Conchalves, a Mateus Cunha, someone like him who could just do a bit of everything, could sit wherever you ask him to sit and just can create magic. A Danny Olmo, whatever, like one of those types of players that could just do a little bit of a 7, a little bit of an 11, a little bit of a 9, a little bit of a 10, and just get yourself 25 GA in the season. And there's a bunch of them around. They're going to cost you money. So you get one of them, you get a 9, you ship out Richarlison, you go and get yourself a 6. I don't need an 8. I don't need an 8. I just need a fucking 6. I've been saying it for 3 years. Just need a 6. Just need a proper 6. And then I think, like Jose and you were saying, Adrian, earlier, a left-sided defender. And it doesn't need to be a versatile one because I think you have versatility in what you already have. But either a specialist centre-back or a specialist left-back or a combo, but someone that can come in that can be a master of one of those positions or a jack of all trades, left-sided, left-footed has to be a necessity for balance. And I'm good.
So in the summer, apart from buying players and selling players, what do you do with Vuskovic, Divine, Donnelly, all these players?
Divine's not ready. Divine's not ready. Like, he's done well, but he's not ready to come back into the first team. Vuskovic, I don't know. I think you wait until you see what happens in the summer tour. Right, you judge him on that.
Donnelly.
Who else do you say? Jamie Donnelly. I think that guy. I genuinely have more hope for Jamie Donnelly than I do Mikey Moore. I think Jamie Donnelly's a fucking brilliant player, but he's League One level right at the moment. So I think that
made his first appearance for Northern Ireland. He's now full international.
Yeah. No, look, I love him. I think he's going to be absolutely extraordinary, and I think he's got all the gumption. And I think he's class. I actually have higher hopes for him than I do for Mikey Moore.
Credit to Wayne Burnett though, because he come from Northern Ireland as a striker and he converted him to a number 10. So Wayne Burnett takes the credit for that. He's got a wicked defence splitting forward pass on him, but I still think Mikey Moore is one of the most.
Either way, like we got some real talent there.
Best young player I've seen through the academy ever, Mikey Moore.
Yeah, look,
Phillips,
I'm not saying it's not poo-pooing on Mikey Moore. It's not poo-pooing on Mikey Moore. It's complimenting what's his name?
Tyrus Hall, Ajayi.
Yeah, so what you're going to have to do is if Tottenham fail to win the Europa League and finish low in the league or as low as what we are at the moment or there or thereabouts, where you don't qualify for Europe, then what do you do next season? Do we still go out and buy players?
The academy tries. If you don't qualify for Europe, that's worse because we won't have the extra games to blood the academy players. We only got the 2 domestic cups.
Yeah, but I was talking more the money, Adrian.
And the money as well.
Less money to buy players.
I think the budget's there already. We've always had the 100 million, 100, 120 million to spend. That's without selling Richarlison, Basuma. We've still got to get the money off of Højbjerg, haven't we? Won't be able to sell Gill because he's got a season-ending injury. So he's had
but what I don't understand, and I'm not a finance person by any stretch, what I don't understand, right, is that I know that we've got to pay off the stadium, and I know we've got a really cheap finance deal for that.
Yeah.
But then I'm watching other teams, and we're saying we can only spend 120 million. And then I'm going and watching other teams in the Premiership who we bring in far more revenue now. They've got the ability or had the ability. Brighton, I don't think they're going to do it again, but Brighton 200 million, just over 200 million, something like that this season. And you've got all these other teams spending a lot more money than what we've spent in the last season, last transfer window, summer transfer window. And some of these clubs will probably go again in the summer, and I'm just like, I'm just lost for it. Money doesn't solve everything, no, because it depends whether you bring the right players in or not. So, Sean, sorry, if you were talking, you were on mute, mate. You're still on mute.
Still muted. Yeah, but they amortise it. They obviously find a way and they amortise it, don't they? So these transfers are paid over. They've got to be paid over 5 years now, not an 8, because that Chelsea loophole has been closed. So if they're spending 200 mil, buying 5 players at 40 mil, they're paying it off like at 40 mil each season to amortise that amount.
There he is. He's back. You're back.
Yeah, I'm back now. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Outrageous. Yeah, listen. I think that Nottingham Forest are going to be a team that's going to qualify for the Champions League or the Europa League or whatever, and then they'll be struggling to be able to maintain the levels because of 2 games a week. Yeah, this is a common theme, right? Teams creep up, qualify, can't sustain it, drop off again, and
Newcastle last season.
Newcastle have done it like 2 of the last 3 seasons, right? They qualify one year, the next year they're shit, the next year they qualify, the next year they're shit, and Newcastle are definitely a threat. Nottingham Forest, I don't think are a threat. I think Nottingham Forest are.
And Villa was struggling, and they brought in Asensio and.
Look, Aston Villa are very,
they're still outside. They're still outside the European places.
Yeah, they are, and they've struggled because they qualified.
Yeah, and by the way, like
Newcastle,
I would imagine, like usually we say 70 points is good enough for 4th. Yeah. I don't think that 70 points. I think that the league is been that bad or that good. I don't know how you want to say it, but that close. It's been a closer league where smaller teams are taking points of everybody, and Tottenham are a victim, but are still capable of nicking points here and there. But Fulham are doing the same thing. Aston Villa, Newcastle. There's so many teams now that are taking points off each other. Bournemouth as well, brilliant example, mate. Well done. That I just think that it won't take 70 points to get the Champions League. So when I hear from Johnny, no disrespect, Johnny, love you if you're watching. I know he's on Last Word on Spurs, so he's not going to hear this. But I can say what I want about Johnny right now because we're 3 hours and 5 minutes in, and there's no chance anyone's going to find this unless you're watching this right now. No, I'm kidding. But no, I think that I don't think that teams like when people say, "Oh, Brighton, they're only 4 points off the top 4," and Villa and all that stuff. Yeah, yes, they are in the conversation. No, not taking anything away, but ultimately, that's a consequence of a closening of the gap for most teams. So like there's not a lot of difference now between Nottingham Forest all the way down to 11th, and then teams like, or 10th, and then teams like Tottenham and Manchester United are only a few players away from getting back into that situation as well. So next season is going to be a fantastically fascinating season, but I don't think that most of the teams that are surprising to the upside this year will be surprising to the upside next year as well. There's just the yo-yo effect of football. But lads, look, we've been going for 3 hours and 5 minutes. Eltel, when you came on, mate, I said, we've only got 10 minutes, and then I found myself another glass, and I've still got it. But it's been a long session, so we should probably round it off. It's the same glass, yeah. I've got no more
juice.
If you haven't got any mixer, then the alcohol's a little bit. Yeah. Shout out to the glass, says Destiny.
It's been a chill show, guys.
Yeah.
It's been a chill show.
Yeah, it's been a great show, mate. Great show, Adrian. Absolutely sensational. Eltel, Jose, sensational late appearance, mate. That's
thank you.
Ended up being. Yeah, let me know where you guys can be found, and I'll put the links in. But just talk about what's going on your channels, mate. By the way, Adrian, I don't think I've ever got a chance to say to you because I watched it, and then the next day I had to disappear off the radar for a while. But your show with
the finance,
David and Jack.
Maguire. Yeah, it was really good, mate. So well done for that.
That was down to Ian. Ian sorted that out. So fair play to him, and I'll take no credit.
Fair play to Ian.
Yeah.
What's going on Spurs Diehards TV, mate? I'm gonna put the link in the description now, and I'll give Eltel the
Well, we didn't do a show today because we didn't want to do a show just for the sake of doing a show. Because there's not really that much happening. There's all the BS about the transfers, and we sort of covered that on previous shows, and we don't want to cover old ground if we don't have to. So we won't do a show Tuesday even. We may not even do one next Friday. I mean, unless we can think of something worthwhile to discuss.
Don't worry about that, mate. Don't worry about that. You know what? The amount of days I'm literally down to. I've got this old iPad, and that's it. I've got this phone. I've got no devices in my house anymore. And you know what? I hate it when I'm like, okay, I've done my work, I've done whatever I've got to do, and then I look around and there's nobody streaming. I don't care if there is nothing to talk about. That's why I spent tonight watching Paul Hotspur Hippie just call everybody an effing C for the last for 2 hours every day for the last 5 days, because I wouldn't usually dial in, but there was nobody else streaming. So please just stream and have a conversation, mate, because most people just want to see some Tottenham content, even if it's meaningless, even if it's like there's nothing new. Just stream anyway, you know, because it's
what about
people
quality
need their Tottenham
assurance,
content.
Sean? What about quality assurance?
Don't worry about that, mate. Don't worry about that. And that's a perfect segue into me giving you you guys a little disclaimer. On Sean Butler TV, we're going to be talking about conspiracy theories. There's no quality assurance there. I will be telling you all the things that I think are happening in the world. Lizards rule the world. David Icke's going to be my first guest. Jose, what's going on over on? Oh, wait, joking. What's going on El Tel Cockerel, my man?
I did a show this morning. Once a week, I did a show with Chang. So I did a show this morning, and it went quite well. It's quite chilled. It went quite well. We spoke about Tottenham for about an hour and a half this morning. Tomorrow, I've got the predictions results show. We went to 20 nations and did 20 fixtures from obscure leagues because obviously there's international, so none of the top leagues were playing. So I'm doing a results show tomorrow. And yeah, with work, you try and fit in a show here and there. And I'm happy to have been able to, even for a short time, to come on and have a chat here with you, Sean, and with Adrian.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's lovely, mate. It's lovely. It's lovely. You know, usually, obviously, Johnny and I are Johnny's my sort of go-to partner for the Football Inc. thing, and we just double stream.
Wingman.
Yeah, I love Johnny. I love Johnny to pieces. I think he's wrongly. You know what's interesting, right? I'm going to say this now because I know that Johnny's had like a load of. Obviously, I've not been on WhatsApp for ages, but I know that in my WhatsApp group, I've heard, and I think in yours as well, Adrian, that Johnny's been chastised and like criticized and accused of all sorts of like horrendous words that have been ascribed to his personality. That I know the guy. I speak to him every single day. I know him almost as well as I know Irish Hotspur, almost as well as I know Henry Wright. Those three guys are my closest buddies in the community, and I know them, right? And when I see and hear and read people that don't know them at all, especially in the case of Johnny most recently, saying the things that they say about him, but I'm flabbergasted, I'm offended, and I have to go to war in their defense because it's outrageous to ascribe toxic words that are just thrown away by people that don't understand what those words mean. The context is completely and irrationally and deliberately obfuscated because of tweets that were sent out or whatever. There's a massive difference between having an issue with immigration, for example, in the UK, which I think the vast majority of people in the UK are currently vibing with. Doesn't mean you're racist because you have a problem with immigration. It means that you're worried about the economic effect of where your hard-earning taxpayer money goes, why it's going there, and who's responsible for it. It doesn't mean that you're a racist because you have a problem with immigration. It means that you might have just some concerns around where the rubber meets the road and where ends can meet. And people that are out there ascribing toxic, nasty, like actually dangerous words to people that are part of my crew, I will go to war with you in a heartbeat. I don't give a fuck. So if I hear it anymore, feel free to do what you want to do, but just know that I am going to come for you with the same energy and I will make you look like a fucking idiot. Johnny is my boy and I'm not going to hear that shit about him. You don't have to like me. You don't have to like Johnny, but I think that the first of all, politics and football should not be in the same conversation ever.
They're oil and water, Sean.
Oil and water, right? Football is a passionate and divisive topic as it is. But politics is probably the only topic that's more passionately divisive than football, and they shouldn't be in the same conversation. But if I see people that I actually like generally, but that are completely misguided and dangerous in their rhetoric, I will come after you with the same energy. And you don't really want that because I'm not in the mood and I'm capable of like being a dickhead too. So behave with that shit. You don't have to like Johnny. You don't have to like me, but good content usually should resolve itself by having a debate. And Johnny takes one side of the oche, I take another. Even on channels that I don't particularly like, I respect them if they have debate, because debate is where entertainment and value is provided. So just relax on that fucking narrative and that bollocks, not just about that topic, but about all of it. Stop hating on each other. You know, like in a world where you can be anything, be nice, because you know your words have an impact. People, your words have an impact on people. We're not celebrities. We're not paid any money, millions of pounds, and it comes with the territory. We're just nobodies that just want to have a chat about football. So be nice to each other, because it's far easier to be nice than to be nasty. So just be nice. You know, be nice. You don't have to like people, just be nice.
And we put the content out for nothing. We do it because we love the club, first and foremost, the team, not the bold and whatever. But we do it because of our love for the team, and we're giving you free content. You know, so a bit of respect. So a bit of respect to those that put their heads up above the parapet and voice their opinion. I don't agree with everything that's said out there, and I'm sure people don't agree with everything I say. Got no issues with Johnny whatsoever. If people that I disagree with just come across, make their point of view, and they're mature and sensible with it, I'm fine with that. You won't get me in a fluster about it. I don't do hate anyway at all. I don't do hate. It doesn't exist.
And just to add on to that, the last thing I'd say on this is that everyone has a real life, and everyone has things going on in their lives, and that if something's going to trigger you and something's not for you, and it's going to make you feel negative, make you feel worse about yourself, or make you feel ill, don't watch it. Just watch what you're happy to watch. Don't go and watch something that's going to affect you. And at the end of the day, it's hard enough trying to have a real life. Coming onto YouTube and watching some of the stuff that goes on YouTube is really, really scary, and we don't need it. We don't need it at all. So just at the end of the day, if you, like I said, if you like you subscribe to channels, you hit the notification bells for certain channels, and I hope you do that because you like the channel. And if you like the channel, you want to know when they're on, you want to watch it. And that's what you need to do. You need to do that. Don't go to channels that are going to trigger you, and you're not going to like their content. And that includes my channel. If you don't like what I do, then don't watch me. At the end of the day, I mean, I may not be as controversial as what other people are, but again, I wouldn't encourage people to come and watch me if they don't like what I do. Just don't let it trigger you. Watch what you're comfortable with, and stay safe out there and stay happy as you can be.
And a big up to those of you in the chat that posted comments, and a big up to those that support Sean's channel and have posted super chats. Back to you, Sean. You're muted again, mate. People have been trying to shut you up for ages, and you shut yourself up. Yeah.
Am I working back? Am I back yet? Am I back?
You're back.
Yeah.
Okay. This road. You know what? I'm gonna. If you get promotions to do on something like NordVPN, go out and check it out. NordVPN.com/Spurs Talk Show. Don't get these bad boys. They're a piece of shit. Absolute piece of. You have to have them plugged in. And apparently, if you unplug them, you then got to turn them on and hold down your thumb for like an hour. Anyway, whatever. Guys, just be nice to one another. Adrian, you're a superstar for coming on. Really appreciate you. Jose, you're an absolute superstar as well. Love your conversation. Love your content. Everyone in the chat, as always, legendary in the chat, guys. I want to say a massive thank you to Dermatron for his support, El Dante for his support, my man Blaine Devlin, you're an absolute legend. 5 Spurs Talk Show memberships, and also a super chat. Moondog for a super chat. I haven't seen these guys. I'm so sorry. Leah Cooper, new member. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much. I didn't see that. Sorry, I must have been rambling on about something. Thank you very much for your support. Look forward to seeing you on the guest show this week, probably Tuesday. Shane Reynolds, sorry, mate, didn't see this either. Thank you very much for your support, buddy. If we make the Europa League, we would play 59 games. And you know what? If we qualify for the Champions League via the Europa League, we're going to have an extra, I don't know, hopefully 60, 70 million to spend. Let's see what Daniel Levy can do. And the Alaskan Hotspur, good to see you, man. Big up, Sean. Fairbanks, checking in. I hope you're not cold up there. I hope the snow is melting over in Fairbanks. I'm sure it's been a long, hard, cold winter for you, my man. I love that show, America's Deadliest Catch. Is that where Fairbanks? I think that's Fairbanks or somewhere near there. It's cold up there and it's dangerous. I love you anyway. Thanks very much, guys. We've got a super sticker from Phil Coyce. Don't know what it is, but thank you very much, Phil. Love you, buddy. Love you, everyone. Like, subscribe, and comment. Get over to Adrian and to LTL Cockerell, and I'll see you on the next one. Like, subscribe, and comment. As always, guys. Bye-bye. Thank you very much, guys.